Good morning. Good morning, everyone. I'm Saroj Kivire. I'm from Nepal. I practice at the Supreme Court of Nepal, and I'm also the faculty of law for the Pure University. And I'm happy to be judge in today's session. Simon. Simon.
I believe we have lost Judge Simon. Suraj, can you pick another judge? Why I'm sure Judge Simon is going to be coming back.
I think there is technical problem. Lenny, could you please introduce? Just Lenny.
Okay, thank you, Chief. So, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, Manglaba, Sabaidi, Sawadika, Namaste, Namaskar. So, my name is Leni Widimoyani. I currently work at the Faculty of Law, Pasundan University, Bandung, Indonesia, and I also a street law clinician. So, besides teaching, my students and I often go to the field and then teaching and giving free legal education and free legal consultation for the poor and marginalized. Thank you. So I hand it over to Judge Strongly.
Thank you, Lenny. Hi, everyone. First of all, it's such a pleasure to be here today. I'm Trung from Vietnam. I'm currently working in a foreign law firm called ACSV Legal in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam. I'm now focusing on dispute resolution with a keen interest in international arbitration in my current law firm. I work here in the last 2 seasons, and I have to say that I have wonderful opportunity to learn and meet other churches and students around here. And that was a great experience, and I trust that this year event will be more successful. So hope you all have a wonderful experience through this time. And now that we're waiting for Simon to be back here, right?
I think we're waiting for Simon, but if maybe we can have the prosecution team that will be doing the case today introduce themselves, including the clerk from the prosecution team. If we can spotlight, please, the prosecution team.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. I am Kenny Bayudan. I am from the Philippines. I'm studying at the Arellano University School of Law. I'm actually, hopefully, in my final year in law school, crossing fingers. Today, I will be doing the role for the first round. One of the prosecutors, or rather, the first prosecutor for the first round, and I participated in this mock trial event because I believe that I still lack the necessary experience on how to handle cases, appear in court, and how to actually act as a lawyer. So I'm looking forward to having a fruitful exchange and exercise with my fellow law students. I think I'll pass the mic or the floor to Rika.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I am Rika Shrestha from Nepal. I am currently studying in Nepal Law Campus under Tribhuvan University. I am in my second year, which is, we have semester system, so I'm actually in my fourth semester now. I'm reading for my boards right now for my final examinations, which is the second year. So yeah, and I'll be playing the part of prosecutor too for the opening rounds today. And I think I'm more of an introverted person, so I think I wanted to join this event to kind of explore and challenge myself as well. Thank you. Sukriti, do you want to take over?
Hello and good morning, everyone. I'm Sukriti Jungal. I'm currently studying in Kathmandu School of Law under Panchakel University. So we have year system. I'm currently in my first year. And I'm playing the role of senior officer straight in this role play today in the morning session. And regarding why I wanted to be part of this workshop was that I was like curious about this hearing workshop, as I have never took a part in any other kind of workshop like this. So when I joined this workshop, I was grateful that with my decision that I'm here, and I learned a lot about the procedures in this workshop. Thank you. I would like to pass the mic to Anna.
Anom, right? Okay. Hello. Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is very well today. So my name is Anom Gilang Pamungkas, and I am from Indonesia. I am currently studying in Pasundan University, also with Mrs. Leni as well. Hello. Am I audible?
We hear you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The computer kind of freezed. Today, I will be the clerk for the prosecution team. And the reason I wanted to participate in this program is because my country has a civil law system, which is sort of a hybrid system. So on this trial, we are studying about a lot more about the system of other countries, and it is very interesting for me. And I really love the fact that we could explore a lot of things, especially in the legal world, because we have multiple systems in the world, and it is very interesting for me, and it's very lovely to learn a lot about multiple legal systems as well. That's why I wanted to join here. So I think it's Tian, if you don't mind taking off the floor.
Thank you, Anna. So, hello, my name is Tian. I'm from Vietnam. I'm currently a sophomore at Trade Union University. So, I'm playing Ziggy Bagman today. The reason why I want to attend this event is that I want to learn about the difference between its law system, and I want to practice more to improve my social skill and my public speaking. So, Viet, are you there?
Yes. So hello everyone. My name is Viet. So I'm currently studying at Vietnam National University, and I played as the narrow officer this morning. And I have the same reason with Anom that we are in civil law. So I want to extend this workshop, extend my knowledge, and I want to experience some difference between the common law and the civil law. Thank you. So that is it. I think I'm the last person. Yes.
And if we can get the defense to introduce themselves. And just for clarification and for the judges, people are introducing themselves as clerks, either the prosecution clerk or the defense clerk. They're not actually prosecution clerks or defense clerks, but they come from those teams, and we've split up the roles so they can have experience being the clerks. So the person for the prosecution team will be a clerk for the first half, and then the person for the defense will be a clerk for the second half of the hearing today. But they're not actually representing them in the courtroom. We just want to make that clear. So we can now hear from the wonderful defense team.
So my name is Aksa Hamid, I am a final year law student. I am from Pakistan. I study at Grenade College, Lahore, Pakistan. So I'm playing the role of Panchakel witness. So I was interested in this particular workshop because of the exposure which I'm getting, plus the learning aspect of it. So over the course of past couple of months, the level of understanding which I've got through this workshop is great. That's why I was interested in proceeding with this workshop. Thank you. Now, if Jasmine could introduce herself.
Hello, namaste everyone. This is Jasmine Giri. I'm from Nepal and I've been studying BLLB in Kathmandu School of Law, which is affiliated to Purbanchal University. And I'm a BLLB first year student and I'll be playing the role of defense lawyer today. And my motive to join this BAPSICLE meet and be the part of evidence exclusionary hearing session is that I believe in learning new things and exploring myself. So of course, if session is being conducted, it will be additional to me and it will be addition for my development. And yeah, that's all for my own development and to learn something new is my motive. So now if defense lawyer one could introduce herself.
Good morning and namaste. I am Jigya from Nepal and I am currently studying in Kathmandu School of Law, which is affiliated to Purbanchal University. I am a BLLB first year student and in today's event I am playing the role of Defense Lawyer 1. And the motive for me to take part in this event is I see this event as a great opportunity to learn together about court procedures and how exclusionary hearing events are taken place. So yeah, thank you. I would give the floor to Lan.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. My name is Lan. I am from Vietnam. I study in Vietnam National University. I'm a third year student majoring in law. And today I'll be Eltra Parker. I'm very privileged to be a part of this learning journey because I've just always seen the kind of mock trial and mock hearing in movies. I'm a big fan of the TV series How to Get Away with Murder. And I feel very thrilled when I can play a part of a mock hearing like this with a USA style. Thank you. So I will pass the floor to Quý.
Thank you, Lan. Hello, everyone. My name is Trương Văn Quý, and you can call me Quý. I am currently a second-year student in the Faculty of Law of the National Economics University of Vietnam. My major is economic law, and Vietnam is also my birthplace. So today I will join the defense team as the defense witness in Korea. At first, my purpose of joining the mock CLE evidence exclusionary hearing event was to learn new, interesting, and practical knowledge about a trial. And I think I have achieved it successfully. And moreover, another thing that I am very grateful of is that I was able to meet a lot of new friends and learn about new countries throughout the process. So I want to say thank you to all the BAPSICLE team to create such an amazing event. Thank you. So now I will pass the mic to Big Day.
Yeah, thank you, Boy. Good morning, everyone. My name is Sapek Day. I'm from the Phnom Penh of the Kingdom of Cambodia. I'm currently attending the Panchakel University of Cambodia, and I'm a junior student at the beginning of the semester 1. This morning, I'm going to handle a role as a clerk for defense team. And the purpose of joining this event is I think that it is very important for me to learn a new thing because I have never been such this event before. Moreover, I want to challenge myself for the public speaking, make new friends, and update my knowledge on the exclusionary hearing. Even also, I hope that I get this knowledge and I can spread out to my peer in my country also for this knowledge in the further. Thank you.
Wonderful all. So I believe that we now have all of the introductions, and if we can now begin to proceed with the evidence exclusionary hearing, the small but important hearing. I think we start with the clerk, who is from the prosecution team, will I believe begin it.
Yes, so ladies and gentlemen, the court is now in. Everyone, would the judge please be outside of the viewing of the camera? Okay, everybody please stand up. Everyone please be seated. This court is now in session.
Prosecutor, are you ready?
We are ready, Your Honor.
Defense, are you ready?
We are ready, Your Honor.
Prosecution,
Yes, Your Honor.
are you ready for your opening statement?
Yes, Your Honor, we are ready to give our opening statement.
You can proceed.
Your Honor, members of this honorable court, good day. Our police force has always been the subject of vilification, not just in mainstream media, but also online, for their zealousness to enforce the law, to uphold the Constitution, and to protect us from those that will do us harm. It is admitted that the police force has had misgivings in the past, but this should not be the basis to undermine what was a legitimate act of two outstanding police officers who have done their sworn duty to protect the citizens of Zaltanu from the negative consequences of drugs. Today, we, the prosecution, will prove that the events that transpired on March 1st, 2023, leading to the evidence obtained, which the defendant is desperately trying to exclude, the car and frisk searches, which the defendant alleges to be illegal, and the phone access were actually done in accordance with Zaltanu laws. The facts of the case will show that police officers acted within the bounds of the law and exercised lawful means to detain and arrest an individual who poses harm to society. With legitimate reports that Pacific Avenue is being used excessively for trafficking illegal drugs, the police department acted upon those reports and set up a roadside checkpoint on Pacific Avenue at the crossroad of Astor Road. On March 1st, 2023, Senior Officer Strait directed a car to stop at the checkpoint they set up. While checking the identification given by the defendant, Senior Officer Strait observed the defendant's unusual demeanor and bloodshot eyes. Senior Officer Strait was also made aware that the defendant was a delivery person and transporting packages. However, when asked about any information in the contents of the packages, at least a general one for that matter, the defendant aggressively refused to disclose any information. This, the items plainly observed by Senior Officer Strait in the car, and the reports that PDP, where the defendant is in ties with, has connections in illicit drug, formed the reasonable suspicion for Senior Officer Strait to detain and search the defendant and the defendant's car. Instead of cooperating with the officers on the frisk search, the defendant chose to threaten the police officers and even attempted to reach what could possibly be a weapon. Like anyone in danger, Senior Officer Strait had no other choice but to use force as a safety measure to prevent any potential harm. While it was revealed that the item was a stress ball, Senior Officer Strait had no way of knowing it given the defendant's aggressive behavior. The defendant likewise failed to mention or raise awareness of what they were about to do. I would like to caution the court, though, on how the defense will attempt to dissuade your honors from outweighing the defendant's act with the item seized. It should be noted that any item can become a dangerous weapon in the hands of an insane person. Had Senior Officer Strait reacted nonchalantly, drugs could have already been distributed and destroyed the lives of many of our youth in Zoltanu. Had Senior Officer Strait not acted swiftly, he would not have been able to find the electronic scale on the person of the defendant, a common item used in drug deals. He would not have been able to discover the bag of white powder that later on was confirmed to be cocaine, as confirmed by the lab analysis, and the large amount of cash inconsistent with the usual business of a delivery person. He also would not have found the data which contained the list of names with corresponding amounts involved in the drug deal. Your honors, the defense will attempt to convince you to throw away the hard work of these two outstanding officers who have dedicated their lives to protect us from the evil that is drugs. It is our earnest prayer that the court considers the balancing of interest and find that the officers have acted within the bounds of law and the call of the situation and allowed the evidence obtained in the main trial. I hope that today your honors will side with justice and public interest and make this day the day that we can boldly say no to drugs. Thank you.
Prosecutor, you can proceed on with your opening statement if there are any left. Any other prosecutor?
That was the only opening statement we have, Your Honor.
Defense, please proceed with your opening statement.
Okay, Your Honor. Your Honor, this is a case about police overstepping their lawful boundaries by not following what the law states, and thus they are violating the concept of rule of law. Right now, the defense would prove that the police officers illegally conducted a series of acts to Eltra Parker, a chemical engineering student, during his or her part-time job for PTP, a delivery service. Starting by establishing an illegal traffic checkpoint that did not follow the legal requirements of Jaltanu laws. The two officers then unlawfully conducted a frisk search on Mr. and Miss Parker. Your Honor, it is the fact that Jaltanu's procedural codes were blatantly disrespected during the case, and the evidence the prosecution seeks to admit was totally illegal. And the witnesses we would like to present in our case are Eltra Parker, Dane and Panchakel. So the defense submits that on 1st March 2023, the Jaltanu police officers unlawfully or without lawful authority stopped and detained Eltra Parker, which was not in accordance with law, and so the instant motion to exclude evidence has been filed. Thereby, there are 4 disputed issues in this case, which the defense shall hereby be submitting. Firstly, that the roadside checkpoint was set up unlawfully and the stopping of Eltra Parker's car was not in accordance with law. Because in order to establish a roadside checkpoint, law states that police must have reasonable suspicion, which did not exist in this case. The checkpoint was set up without following the lawful procedure. The defense witnesses will testify in this hearing that there was no signage put up for the checkpoint. Moreover, the police officer stopped Eltra Parker arbitrarily since he or she was not committing any traffic violation when he or she was stopped by police, making the actions of the police questionable and unlawful. Secondly, the frisk search of Eltra Parker was conducted unlawfully because Eltra was not committing any traffic violation and his or her demeanor was again agitated only because of Officer Straight's aggressive behavior, and thus there was no reasonable suspicion to conduct the frisk search. Law states that in absence of reasonable suspicion, a search warrant is necessary to search a person, and if not, then the consent of the person. Now, in Eltra's case, police officer did not have search warrant. Moreover, without taking his or her consent, frisk search was conducted. Also, the defense would like to emphasize that upon the frisk search, a stress ball was discovered. And even if Officer Strait had the reasonable suspicion, it ended upon the discovery of the stress ball. However, Officer Strait continued with the frisk search, which was illegal and against Eltra's rights. Thirdly, the defense submits that the car search was also illegal because after the frisk search, reasonable suspicion of Officer Strait within its peer definition had ended. Hence, the further search of car was an illegal act on part of the police. Moreover, law states that in absence of a reasonable suspicion, police cannot search a person or things in their possession unless they have a search warrant, and in this case, police did not have it. Thus, car search was also conducted without emphasizing or without considering the law. And fourthly, the last is the accessing of the locked phone, which was illegal because as per the Jaltanu law, a locked phone cannot be accessed unless a search warrant is obtained or the consent is taken. Now, Officer Strait, without having a warrant, forced Eltra to unlock his or her phone, upon which Eltra unlocked it involuntarily. This, Your Honor, was not a voluntary or free consent of Eltra, rather it was taken with coercion. Moreover, the police officer forcefully demanded Eltra to unlock it, which then led to his or her, I emphasize, reluctant compliance. That doesn't fall under the informed and free consent element of the law. So, Your Honor, the defense submits that the evidence that have been obtained by the prosecution be excluded from being used in the main trial because it was unlawfully obtained, and that the motion to exclude evidence may be admitted. Thank you.
Would the prosecution like to call the first witness? Learned prosecutor, would you like to call the first witness?
Yes, sir, Your Honor. We would like to call our first witness. We call to the stand Senior Officer Strait.
Clerk, could you please administer oath to the witness?
Senior Officer Strait, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I will say the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
You may proceed.
Prosecutor, you may proceed with the examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Witness, can you please state your name for the record?
Hello, everyone. I'm Senior Officer Strait.
All right, thank you, Senior Officer Strait. Can you please tell us what your occupation is?
I'm actually working at a traffic control unit right now.
All right, and how long have you been in the traffic unit?
I have been a member of Jaltanu Police Force for the past 16 years. I have worked as a part of the traffic control unit for the past 9 years.
All right, and you are aware of why we are here today, correct?
Yes, I'm aware.
All right. Thank you, Senior Officer Strait. So since you've been in the traffic unit of the police force for quite a long time already, have you conducted traffic stops before?
Yes, I have conducted numerous traffic checkpoints before also.
All right. So when you say numerous, I would assume that this is more than 10, correct?
Yes, it is.
All right. So now you are aware that we are here to question the events that transpired on March 1st, 2023, correct?
Yes.
All right. So can you please describe to us what transpired on March 1st, 2023?
On the March 1st, 2023, I was in a charge of operating a traffic checkpoint on the Pacific Avenue at Esther Road. I set up a checkpoint at 10 a.m. in the morning. As we have received reports of drug being moved along Pacific Avenue, I was accompanied by Officer Naro too.
All right, so I was just wondering, why did you set up this checkpoint?
Like I said, because we had received reports of drug being moved along Pacific Avenue, therefore we set up the checkpoint there.
All right, can you please, can you recall where and when did you establish the checkpoint on March 1st? Can you please repeat where did you establish the checkpoint and when on March 1st?
I set up the checkpoint at Pacific Avenue on the March 1st.
All right. So how long was the checkpoint established?
It was established at 10 a.m. in the morning.
So how long?
So you can say like for 10 a.m. it started, and at 11 a.m. We found a BMW car coming towards the checkpoint.
And at what time did the checkpoint end?
Could you repeat the question, please?
What time did the checkpoint that you set up, what time did it end?
It ended after we get the Eltra parkers to the police station.
All right. And you are required, you know that you are required by law to document any checkpoint that is established, correct?
Yes.
And you mentioned that the checkpoint was established at around 10 a.m.
Yes.
So why the discrepancy in the business record that you submitted?
Actually, it was a mistake. I put the business record on the 5th March 2023 regarding the checkpoints being there. It was truly a mistake.
All right. And why did it take you so long to submit this business record?
Actually, we forgot at the time, so we didn't put the business record at the particular moment. Later, I realized, so I put the business record.
All right. Now, when you established this checkpoint, did you put any signage so that motorists can visibly see the checkpoint?
Yes, I had Officer Naro had put the signage that time.
All right. Now, earlier you mentioned that you've stopped a BMW car, correct?
Yes.
Why did you stop the car?
Actually, it was a random step. As it was passing through the checkpoint we are established, therefore I stopped that car.
Who was driving this car?
Eltra Parker was driving the car, and Dan Carrier was at the passenger seat.
All right. So you're saying that it is the defendant that you can confirm that it is the Eltra Parker and the defendant are the same person, correct?
Yes.
Firm? All right. Now, what happened next after the stop?
So at 11, I directed an older model black BMW into the checkpoint. As I approached the vehicle, I immediately recognized the passenger as Dan Carrier from a previous arrest. I introduced myself, and then I asked them where they are heading towards, as I asked them their name and identification also.
All right. Since you asked for their identification, did they give it to you willingly?
Yes.
Were they cooperative? Were they cooperative in giving you the identification? Officer Shade? Officer Shade?
Yes.
Were they cooperative when they gave you their identification?
Oh, yes.
Objection, Your Honor.
Could you please explain what is the objection about?
Prosecutor 1 asked a leading question.
Is it the rule that prosecution cannot ask a leading question?
In chief examination, prosecution is not allowed to ask a leading question.
Your Honor, if I may.
Prosecutor, you may proceed.
The question actually was to establish the manner, the behavior of the defendant during the giving of the identification, and not necessarily a leading question.
Okay, objection overruled, and prosecutor, you can.
Judge, please let the other side respond, and then please discuss it with your group of judges. So if the chief judge can ask the defense to please respond to that and then discuss it with the group of judges.
Defendant, do you have any further explanation?
Yes,
on
Your Honor.
objection?
Yes, Your Honor. Asking Officer Straight whether the defendant were cooperative or they complied to what he asked is surely a leading question, because the answer would clearly be yes or a no. So prosecutor is trying to divert the witness towards establishing that thing, which is surely a leading question.
I'll withdraw my question, Your Honor, so that we may proceed to the next question.
Well,
So any opinion from other judges?
well, my opinion is that it's plainly a leading question.
Judge Joe, you're on mute.
Sorry, yes, it was a leading question. Was he cooperative? It's now been withdrawn, so therefore not only is the question withdrawn, but the answer must be withdrawn to be excluded from the evidence.
Yep. So I too have the same opinion as leading.
Your Honor, may I proceed to
Lenny?
the question?
Judge Lenny?
Yes. My internet is a bit unstable, and I think it's not a leading question.
Yes, that's wrong.
I think the objection is a stand from my side. That is leading question from my side.
I think we've moved past that. You've withdrawn the question. So there's nothing else to argue about, and the answer can't go into the evidence.
Yeah.
The question is drawn.
May I now proceed, Your Honors?
Yeah, prosecutor, you proceed without that question.
All right. Officer Straight, how would you describe the demeanor of Eltra Parker when you were asking for the identification?
When I was asking for the identification, Eltra Parker was being a little kind of aggressive with her tone.
All right. What else did you observe?
They were cooperative with the identification and the inspection of the driver license. But as I inspected the car outside, I saw a packet of cigarette on the dashboard and with an open envelope containing cash in the center console, rolling paper, clips, shell bag. And I also noticed that Eltra was constantly fidgeting and looking at her watch, like Eltra Parker was avoiding direct eye contact with me.
When you were checking the identification of Eltra Parker, what can you confirm about Parker's identity?
From that, I can confirm that she is in delivery person, as she was wearing the uniform of the PDP company with the PDP logo, and she also has the ID of it.
All right, thank you so much. So you mentioned that you've seen several items in the car, correct?
Yeah.
Were you peeping through any windows of the car? Or
While
you
I
were...
was checking it, I saw them inside the car.
All right, so is it safe to say that you were just looking at it plainly from the outside of the car?
Yes.
All right. What happened next? Can you please tell us?
After I started questioning the driver on the contents of the package, Parker refused to disclose the nature of the package and responded in an aggressive tone. I'm a delivery driver. I don't know what's in the package. After that, I then ordered Parker to step out of the vehicle. And Parker again responded in very aggressive tone. So why I have nothing to hide. I replied asking her, would you please step out of the vehicle? After both individuals exited the car, I informed them that I would need to conduct a frisk search.
So how did the defendant, or how did Eltra Parker respond when you asked them to step out of the vehicle?
Because I noticed PDP packages, I remember PDP is suspected for drug trade and their aggressive behavior gave me the reasonable suspicion to do the car search for them.
All right. So what else, if any, did the defendant say or do during that encounter?
When they both get out of the car, Parker asked, "Do I need a lawyer?" She also said she can. How can I get one now? After both individuals exited the car, I informed them I will need to conduct a search.
All right. What kind of search did you do?
I did a frisk search and car search too.
So why did you conduct a frisk search?
I told her, Parker, that I wanted to conduct the investigation as efficiently as possible. After that, they can head out to the business as if they were not hiding any dangerous weapon. I asked them, they said no, but after the question, Parker became more aggressive and upset. As a public safety measures to prevent any potential harm that can be caused by a dangerous weapon, due to Parker's suspicious and aggressive behavior, I had to immediately conduct a frisk search of her to confirm there was no dangerous weapon threatening the public safety.
All right. Thank you, Officer Shade. And you are aware that the law requires you to ask for a warrant or to obtain a warrant when you do frisk searches, correct? Especially when in case of doubt.
Yes, I'm aware of that. But I said Parker was giving me a aggressive and upset behavior, and she also tried to reach out her pockets, which she said she was trying to reach out for a stress ball. But I was not completely sure about it, and then I had to forcefully took her into the consent into the detaining her as a public safety. So I didn't request for a warrant to prevent any potential harm that could be caused by a dangerous weapon.
All right. When you did the frisk search, what did you find?
I found the electronic scale inside the front pocket of the jacket during the frisk search.
Did you think that it was suspicious for Eltra Parker to carry an electronic scale on his person?
Yes, from my past experience, these scales are commonly used by drug dealers when portioning out the small quantities of drugs from individual scale.
All right. You are aware that Eltra Parker is a chemical engineering student, correct?
Yes.
And you are aware that an electronic scale could also be used in this in their program, in their course, correct?
Okay.
But what led you to believe that the electronic scale has something to do with illicit drugs?
Like I said, that electronic scale can be used to measure a small portion of drugs and to intend to sell it. Therefore, I think that was the reason.
All right. I think the time is up. Thank you so much, Officer Shade.
Thank you.
Okay, learned defense lawyer. Would the defense like to cross-examine the witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
You can proceed.
So, Senior Officer Shade, I would like to ask you some questions about what happened on 1st March 2023. So, on March 1st, 2023, you established a checkpoint, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you established it on 10 a.m., am I correct?
Yes.
And the business record for roadside checkpoint was also made by you, isn't it? And that states that checkpoint was established from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m., am I right?
Yes.
So there is a contradiction in your statement and your business record. Now moving on the reason for establishing it, you also mentioned the reason to be drug trafficking, during evening and nighttime hours. Am I correct?
Yes.
But you stopped Eltra Parker's car in 11 a.m., isn't it?
Like I said, we set up the checkpoints in the morning as we got the many...
Please, prosecution, just answer. You stopped Eltra Parker's car in 11 a.m., isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. And there was Dane carrier in passenger seat in the car, right?
Yes.
And you knew him from previous encounter, didn't you?
Yes, I knew him from my previous encounter.
Okay, so that was a reason for your suspicion, am I right?
Correct.
Eltra Parker and Dane carrier were complying as you said, weren't they?
Yes.
Okay. And Eltra Parker also asked you for a lawyer, am I right?
Yes.
But you simply did not assist him or her in getting one, did you?
No, I told her that she
okay,
has
Please just answer in yes or no. Did you assist him in getting a lawyer?
I didn't assist that time, but I said her at the end that she can have the legal aid.
You conducted a frisk search on Eltra Parker, am I correct?
Yes.
And the reason for frisk search was public safety, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. So during the stress ball, firstly you during the search, firstly you found a stress ball, right?
In her pocket, yes.
Okay. So there was no harmful weapons, isn't it?
Yeah, but we found the electronic scale.
Okay, but there were no other harmful weapons, right?
There weren't.
So the suspicion for public safety was resolved right then, isn't it?
But she was being upset and aggressive with her tone also. And she was constantly trying to reach out her pockets.
Prosecution, please answer in yes or no. So they were, the suspicion was resolved right then about public safety, right? But you still continued the frisk search, right?
Yes.
Please answer. Okay. And then you found 2 phones in the glove compartment, right?
Yes.
And you asked Elta Parker to unlock the phone, didn't you?
Yes, we did.
But you did not have any search warrant, did you?
No, we didn't have.
Okay. And Elta Parker was reluctant to open it, isn't it?
She was kind of reluctant, but she did give us the password.
I would take it as a yes. But you insisted on opening the phone, am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, no further questions, Your Honor.
Learned prosecutor, would the prosecution like to re-examine the witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
You can proceed.
Senior Officer Shade, you were asked that public safety ended, the concern for public safety ended when you found the stress ball, correct?
Yes.
What caused you to continue the search?
Like I said, she was aggressive with her tone. When we searched her, it was the stress ball. But when we searched the jacket, we found the electronic scale in the pocket. And like I said, electronic scale can be used to give the small quantity of the drugs. Therefore, we conducted the further search of the car.
You were with another officer during that time, correct?
Yes, I was with.
Was the officer with you in the vicinity or was he somewhere else?
He was there when I was trying to do the car search.
But during the first search, was the officer already with you at the time?
No, he was at the car of our police.
All right. So would it be safe to say that since there are 2 people within your Hello, sorry. So Officer Shade, wouldn't it be possible that since there are 2 people in your vicinity, Dane Carrier and Eltra Parker, wouldn't it be possible that the 2 could overpower you at any time?
They could have, but I have.
Objection, Your Honor.
Yep. Okay, defense, what is the objection about?
I think the prosecution is leading the witness again.
Could you explain how?
Prosecution is clearly giving or putting his input saying that wouldn't it mean that 2 people could overpower, and so that is leading question.
Okay, I would like to request the panel of judges to provide the opinion.
Could we,
Chief
Your Honor,
Judge,
could
if
we
you could
ask the
please,
defense
Chief
to
Judge,
respond?
yeah. Let's get the prosecutor to respond.
A prosecutor, could you respond to this objection?
The question, Your Honor, was to establish that there were 2 individuals during that time. So it calls for the situation to be asked.
If we could discuss that, I think there have been a series of leading questions by the re-examiner, and I think the objection should be upheld. a number of questions that were asked presupposed the answer. That is, there was a yes/no situation. In my view, it's very clear. And it's re-examination, you can't ask leading questions.
I agree. The fact of the that there being two people present had already been established. The possibility of overpowering and so forth is really a submission, as well as being led from the witness. It's probably not something that appropriately falls from the witness in any event. Does anybody else have an opinion? Lenny?
Yeah, Saroz, Lenny?
I think the objection must be accepted because those questions is already gonna lead to in different ways. So hopefully that the prosecutor will be focusing on the re-examination. So thank you.
Yeah, I think the same, that the leading question should be answered in the last question.
Yeah, I'm aligned with all the judges on that. The objection is sustained.
Okay, prosecutor, objection is sustained. You please skip that question and go ahead.
Yes, Your Honor. Continuing with my questions, Officer Shade, you were asked you were asked by the defense regarding 2 phones that were found during the car search, correct?
Yes.
And the defense is trying to portray that you coerced the defendant in giving you the passcode.
Actually, I asked her for the passport as the phone, there was 2 phones. It was one of Eltra Parker and one on the name of PDP. And PDP was suspected for the drugs-related case before. Therefore, seeing that logo, I wanted to open the phone. And when I asked Eltra Parker, she said it wasn't her phone. And I also said her, if she has nothing to hide on the phone, then she shouldn't be unwilling to give the password. So after that, she gave the password on her own.
So it is your testimony today that Eltra Parker gave the passcode of the phone willingly and voluntarily.
Yeah, when you said her, if she had nothing to hide, then she shouldn't be afraid of it.
Officer Strait, do you believe that you acted within the bounds of law?
I think we acted on the bounds of the law.
No more questions, Your Honor.
Okay, learned prosecutor, would the prosecution like to call another witness?
Yes, Your Honor, we would like to call in the stand Officer Naro.
Clerk, could you please administer oath to Officer Naro?
Officer Naro, please stand and raise your right hand. Please raise your right hand, Officer Naro.
Yes.
Please raise your right hand.
Right hand.
Raise your right hand.
Oh, okay. Can you see my right hand?
Yes. Okay. Do you promise that the testimony you shall be giving in this case before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Prosecutor, you can proceed with the examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Witness, can you please state your name for the record?
My name is Nero.
What is your occupation?
I am a Zatunu police officer.
And how long have you been a police officer?
I just graduated from the police academy from 1 year ago.
Sorry, could you repeat your answer?
I just graduated from police academy for 1 year.
Okay. But right now you're already part of the police force, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
How long have you been part of the police force?
Like I said, I've been for 1 year.
You've been for 1 year. All right. Which
Yes.
unit are you assigned?
I was assigned for the traffic control.
All right. Now you are aware of why we are here today, correct?
Yes, correct.
All right. So on the events on March 1st, Was that your first time to conduct or to be part of a traffic stop?
No, actually, it's my third day at my job.
All right. So let us try to recall the instances on the checkpoint. Are you aware of where and when the checkpoint was established?
Yes, of course. We established at the Pacific Avenue on the East Road, at the corner of East Road, and we set up the checkpoint at around 10 a.m.
And how long again was the checkpoint established?
If from 10 a.m. maybe I'll come to 6 p.m.
Now, do you recall any signage that was put up so that motorists can visibly see the checkpoint?
Yes, I have recall about that because we must to set up the checkpoint at 10 a.m. So everything we do, it must follow the exact new law. So everything must be legal. So I believe there is a proper signage so everyone can notice that.
Thank you, Officer Naro. Now, there was a stop that was conducted, correct? There was a stop that was conducted at the checkpoint, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And do you happen to recall what type of car was stopped?
We set up at 10 and about 1 hour later, it's 11 a.m. We pulled over a black BMW.
Do you recall who was driving the car, or at least who was in possession of the car at the time?
I just noticed at that time I noticed there are two people in the car, and after that I know it's Dane and Eltra.
All right, now let's backtrack a bit. Do you know why the checkpoint was established?
Yes, because our traffic checkpoint, because we consider a drug can be a trafficking through or checkpoint.
Sorry, what was the last part that you mentioned?
The drug trafficking. We have the information about drug trafficking.
All right. Okay, now let's go back to the cars, to the stop. What happened then when the car was stopped?
Actually, Officer Shed is on duty to pull over the car, and yeah, I think he had to like say something before the driver, and Officer Shed put me a signal that he needs to help support him.
Where were you when all of these things were happening?
I was in the police car about 10 meters away, and I observing what the Officer Shed is doing.
All right, so you can clearly see the things that are transpiring when the car was stopped, correct?
Yes.
Were you there when the identification was asked? Identification of the driver?
No, I think the officer had done this before already, before I approached him.
All right, so when did you become involved in the situation?
I said, Officer Shed give me a signal he needs a support to bring the fixture, so I come over and help him to support it.
All right, you are aware that when you are going to conduct a search, you are required to have a warrant, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Would you say that the situation was emergent or an emergency for you to require a warrant, a search warrant?
Actually, when actually I saw that just Mr. Parker, she reaches her hand into his pocket, and I think this action is very suspicious action. This could be, I think, dangerous weapon. So we need to do the fixture to make sure there is no dangerous weapon in her body.
You conducted the first search, correct?
No, Officer Shade conducted the fixture.
Officer, all right. Thank you so much for clarifying that. Now, what did Officer Shade find during the search?
Officer Shade found a small scale electronic scale in Parker's pocket.
To your understanding, what was this electronic scale for?
On display on duty, it controls the drug trafficking, and we saw an electric scale, and I believe it could be using for drug seller or selling drug.
you are aware that, are you aware that Eltra Parker is a chemical engineering student?
No.
No, you're not. All right.
Yes.
So there is no other reason for which you could suspect that the electronic scale was used in other activities.
Yes. At that time, yes.
All right. What happened next after the first search?
After the friction, and we found electrical scale, and we think yes, this would be using for selling drugs, so we need to searching the car.
The defense earlier asked Officer Shade that public safety should have ended when the stress ball was found during the first search.
Yeah.
To your understanding, was public safety, was the issue on public safety ended when the stress ball was found?
I think the stress ball was found. It just we need to do the fixture to ensure that there is no weapon for safety. So if we found stress ball or anything else, it's not considered as a weapon. It's okay, and we said I think society is safe.
So you're saying that public safety did not end even after finding the stress ball, correct?
Yes, of course, we need to complete the fixture, because if we just find a stress ball but we stop do fixture, maybe she had a knife or gun in the back pocket, maybe, and so you need to complete the fixture.
All right. Thank you so much, Officer Naro. Now, what happened next during the car search?
We in the car search, we found a big crate, a PDP logo, and me and Officer immediately recognized that logo because PDP had been under police investigation for drug trade. So immediately, me and Officer opened the crate, and we saw many packages, and we find one is with unusual appearance. There has address but no name, and we opened this package, and we found a white powder, and lately it's the cocaine. It's about 1 kilogram cocaine in the car trunk.
All right, and what else did you find?
We find a big bag, a big black bag of money, and 2 mobile phones.
All right, you found a large amount of cash. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes.
So
very large amount.
Objection, Your Honor.
Okay, defense, could you please explain what is the objection about?
Prosecution is trying to lead the witness, asking that you mean to say, like, there was large sum of cash, because witness was not mentioning this, which means that prosecution is trying to lead the witness.
Okay, defense, do you have anything to say? Okay, prosecutor, do you have anything to say about this objection?
May I rephrase my question, Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
All right. Officer Naro, can you please tell us again what you found on during the car search?
During the car search, I found a big black bag with full of money. That means a lot of money in the bag, and 2 mobile phones.
All right, thank you so much. Now, you just mentioned that you saw a black bag with a lot of money, correct?
Yes.
Now, do you think this is consistent with the activities of a delivery person?
Yes, of course, in the car trunk.
Can you please repeat your answer?
Of course, it must belong to the people in the car, because in the car trunk.
All right. Do you believe that a delivery person should be handling that large amount of money or a lot of money during a delivery?
For me, that large money is quite sufficient, because there's way a lot of money in that bag, more than to just transporting item.
All right. What else did you find during the car search?
The
bag?
2 mobile. What I found 2 mobile phones.
All right. And what did you do with the mobile phones?
Officer handed me one to check, so I looked through it, and I found nothing. And the other one is Officer hand.
What did you observe Officer Shade was doing on the other phone?
He worked that phone with Dane and Parker, and at that time I keep searching the car.
All right. Thank you so much. I think that is the time.
Yeah.
Okay, defense, learner defense. Do you have any cross-examination?
We do, Your Honor.
You can proceed with cross-examination.
Okay. Officer Naro, on
Yes.
1st March 2023, you were at the checkpoint in Pacific Avenue with Officer Street, right?
Yes.
And it was just your third day at work.
Yes.
So you didn't put up the relevant signage at checkpoint as you were brand new to the rules of police officer. You were unaware about it, right?
What do you mean I'm brand new? What do you mean I'm brand new?
You were new, it was just your third day, you were brand new to the rules of police officer, so you were unaware about putting the proper signage, yes or no?
No, because I'm a trained police officer. I graduated from the
Okay, I
new
just
police
want you to
academy.
answer in yes or no. And next question. So you saw Senior Officer Street approaching the black BMW car at the checkpoint that day.
Yes, he pulled over a black BMW, that
Okay.
car.
And you saw Senior Officer speaking to Eltra Parker.
Yes, I see it. I saw
And
it.
then what you saw was Senior Officer Street all of a sudden asked Eltra Parker and Danny Carrier to get out of the car.
Actually, at the time, I was sitting on the police car.
Officer Nero, I want you to answer it in yes or no. You saw Senior Officer Street all of a sudden asked Eltra Parker and Danny Carrier to get out of the car. Yes or
I
no?
saw, but I don't sure about that. How can I hurt her? I
So
just saw.
I'll take it as yes, you saw it. Okay.
Yes,
And
I saw it.
year after you saw Officer Street continuously asking the question to the Eltra Parker. Yes or no?
Pardon?
And then what you saw was Officer Street continuously asking the question to the Eltra Parker. Yes or no?
Objection, Your Honor.
Okay, prosecutor, what is this objection about?
Vague question.
Could you explain?
The defense was asking that whether Officer Naro saw continuously asking questions. So there's also lack of foundation as to what the questioning was all about.
Okay, defense. do
May
you
I
have
rephrase?
anything?
Yeah.
Yes, defense.
Your Honor, may I rephrase it? I will be adding it it does not lack foundation because this is something that will link to my upcoming question. So I ask Your Honor to let me ask this question.
Okay, I would like to request other judges whether to let defense lawyer proceed or not.
I'm a little unsure. I understood the objection was it was a leading question. That was the first objection. You can definitely ask leading questions in cross-examination. So that's allowable. Again, in cross-examination, they don't have to lay foundation. As long as it's relevant to the matters in issue, they can ask those questions. So I think the objection should be disallowed.
Judge Saroj? Judge Saroj?
Yep. Yeah, Chief Justice. I do consent on the assignment.
The objection was about the question is very vague.
Yeah.
What about this objection? What is your opinion?
I think that's my opinion that the question was it was very explicitly said, and the question should be specific and it should be go on yes.
Okay, Judge Simon.
I don't see a problem with the question as it was asked. I mean, it's perhaps a little bit vague, but it's got a proper foundation, if not in the other evidence, at the very least in Ms. Giri's instructions. The difficulty I have with the way the question was framed is that it's not really appropriate for defence counsel to dictate to the witness how they answer the question. The fact that the question was a little bit vague means that might be difficult for the witness to answer it with a yes or a no. And the fact is, it's up to the defence counsel to structure their questions in a way that they're answered yes or no, rather than direct the witness that they must answer them that way.
Yeah,
So
I'd agree with that. We're having that constantly during this trial or this application. Lawyers cross-examining are continually requiring a witness to answer yes or no. I don't believe that that's proper.
My view is I would allow the question, Chief Judge, but I would also allow the answer.
Yeah.
Okay, Lenny, Judge Lenny.
I think that the defense lawyer might have give a very specific questions, because the witness might be confused, and make sure that the witness understood the questions. Thank you.
Judge Chuang Lee.
Yes, I'm aligned with Joe. I think it's a leading question, but it's totally allowed in the course examination. So the objection is overruled, remand.
Okay, defense lawyer, could you please reframe the question and present it?
Okay, sir. So, Officer Nehru, you
Yes.
saw Officer Street continuously asking the question after Eltra Parker got out of the car, right?
Sorry, it's quite confused because how I saw what
Yeah,
I saw
what you
what
saw. Yeah.
what I saw is Dr. Trish said something to Parker.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
thank you. So, and then you were called over by Senior Officer Straight to assist, right?
Yes.
Then afterward, you saw Senior Officer Straight conducting a frisk search to Eltra Parker, thinking of public safety, assuming them to possess dangerous weapon, yes?
Yes.
So, Officer Nehru, did Senior Officer Straight ask Eltra Parker for the consent to conduct frisk search?
Actually, no.
Okay, so no. Then did Officer Straight find any weapons or something dangerous in possession to Eltra Parker after the frisk search?
No, but we found a electrical small scale.
Okay, thank you. So the frisk search was not needed.
What? Pardon?
So the frisk search was not needed.
Objection, Your Honor.
Yeah. Prosecutor, what is this objection about?
Argumentative.
Okay, defense, do you have anything to say about this objection?
Yes, Your Honor, because since there was no any weapons, still they conducted the frisk search, which means there was not need of frisk search. So I want to ask Officer Nehru, what with since there was no possession, there was no need of frisk search, yes or no? Yes, sir. That's my question.
Prosecutor, could you please elaborate why your objection is about?
Yeah, I'm not sure of the basis. It suggested it's argumentative. Why is that a problem? Why do you say it's in it? The question ought to be objected against because it's argumentative. That's what defense counsel do in cross-examination, isn't it?
Prosecutor?
Because the defense lawyer was making statements, not really a question.
Isn't it the statement question that the defense lawyer is making? Do you want to continue with this objection?
We can just proceed, Your Honor. Thank you.
So the objection's withdrawn, is that right?
Yeah, defense, you can proceed with the question.
Thank you, Your Honor. So, Officer Narrow, despite you and Officer Street went further on searching the car, though there was nothing found after the frisk search, you went on searching the car.
No, we found a small electrical scale, and we believe that was used for selling drugs. And that's why we keep searching the car.
Okay. So, Officer Narrow, so did you have search warrant to search the car?
Actually, I think yes, because we on the traffic control checking. So of course we have the right to do it.
Did you have search warrant to search the car?
We don't need a search warrant because we on the traffic checking point. We have the right to search the car. We don't need a warrant for that.
But as per the procedure and Zaltanu law, you need to have search warrant to search the car.
No, but we on the checking, and the checking is for searching the car to control the traffic checking, the drug trafficking. So we have the right to do it without a warrant. So you can check the law again.
So you were saying that you don't need a search warrant to search the car?
Yes, because we on our duty to control the drug trafficking.
Okay, thank you, Officer Naru. So you didn't have search warrant because you think that you have right to search the car without the search warrant.
No, it's our duty and it's our job. And the law allows us to do it.
But as per the law, you need to have search warrant.
I think you've made the point, Ms. Gira. You can move on.
Ask and answered. Objection, Your Honor.
Okay, prosecutor, what is this objection about?
Asked and answered. The question has been asked and has already been answered.
Okay, defense, do you have anything to explain?
Nothing, Your Honor. I'd like to proceed to the next question.
Okay, so you can proceed to next question.
So, Officer Naro, since there was no any weapon found in frisk search and nothing, you didn't, like you were saying that you didn't have to have search warrant, there was no any reasonable suspicion for you to go to car search, right?
No, we have suspicion. We do a frisk search to make sure there's no dangerous weapon, and it's good if we don't find any dangerous weapon. It's okay. It's safety. It's for the society safe. And for a search warrant, we have a search warrant. If we have a search warrant for, we have the same kind of search warrant for the checking point, and not the particular search warrant to just searching their car, but we have overall search warrant for the checkpoint.
So, Officer Narrow, but you lacked reasonable suspicion, right?
No, we have suspicion, of course. We found a small electrical scale. That's why we need to searching the car.
So what you mean is the scale was the reasonable suspicion for you to do a car search?
Because we're on the duty that day for the drug trafficking, and we found the eligible small scale, and we don't believe that it's a coincidence. It must be something relevant to the drug. It's not coincidence.
Okay. So after the car search, you found 2 mobile phones, yes or no?
Yes.
So you were handed out with 1 phone, but the other phone was handed out to Eltra Parker, which was locked, yes?
Officer Church hand me a phone, and the other phone on the officer Church hand.
So the next phone was unlocked by Eltra Parker, but Officer Narrow, did you see Officer Street ask for any consent to unlock the phone to Eltra Parker?
That's not my duty, and my duty is searching the car. So this is the part of Officer Church duty, not mine.
Okay, so no further question, Your Honor. That's all for now.
Okay, prosecutor, learned prosecutor, do you have any re-examination? Would you like to proceed with re-examination of the witness?
Yes, Your Honor. I just have a few questions.
You can proceed.
Officer Naro, there were 2 phones that were found during the car search, correct?
Yes.
One was handed to you by Officer Shade, correct?
Yes.
The phone that you were holding did not have any passcode or anything, correct?
Yes.
You also found nothing when you looked into the contents of the phone, correct?
Yes.
The other phone was held by Officer Shade, correct?
Yes.
What did you observe Officer Shade was doing on the phone?
I just saw he walked through Dane and Parker. On his duty to work with them and not mine, and I switching the car.
Did you hear the conversation between Officer Shade and Eltra Parker?
I can't because they were far away from me.
From the distance that you were in, would you be able to form a belief that Officer Shade was coercing Eltra Parker for anything?
I can't hear that because I think they talk with with medium voice, so I cannot heard anything.
All right, thank you so much. No more questions, Your Honor.
Okay, prosecutor, do you have any other witness to be examined?
Yes, Your Honor. The
can
prosecutor would now like to call their third and the last witness, Ziggy Bagman.
Clerk, could you
Ziggy
admit
Bagman?
the word to the witness?
Ziggy Bagman, are you on the room?
Yes, I am.
Can you please raise your right hand? Do you promise that the testimony you shall give in the case before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I promise.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Hello, Ziggy.
Hello.
Could you please introduce yourself to this honorable court?
Oh, I'm Ziggy Bagman. I'm 63 years old. I'm unemployed, but however, I own a motor garage and I fixing vehicle to have sufficient cash to conduct transaction.
Now I would like you to cast your mind back to the day of 1st of March 2023. Do you remember what happened?
Oh, yes, I was buying my breakfast and eating it on the bench near Pacific Avenue. So when I stopped to eat my breakfast, I noticed that there are two police officers who came and set up the checkpoint. After that, I know that they are Officer Straight and Officer Narrow. The time it was around 9:30. I remember that.
Okay, so could you please tell this court what happened? What did you observe?
Oh, after the checkpoint was set up, so I saw that old black BMW, old black BMW stopped at the checkpoint, and then I noticed that a BMW, and then I want to study more because our garage has a specialty for BMW. I just want to study more about the engine. That's all. Then I noticed that there are two people driving in the car, one wearing a PDP uniform and one wasn't. So as I approached them, Officer Shreds put me away. So I would just stand nearby that to observe it.
You mentioned that Officer Street pushed you away, but were you still close by? Were you still observing what was happening?
Yes, you can't study the engine if you stand too far. I was standing about a feet away from the car.
Okay, so Senior Officer Street approached the car. You have mentioned this in your statement. What did Senior Officer Street do after approaching the car?
What did he do? Oh, I remember that he said something to the driver, and then they asked the driver to step out of the car. If I recall correctly, then the driver said that yes, they have nothing to hide. After that, I saw that Officer Shred and Officer Narrow do a pat down on both the driver, and then they like search the car. And first they search the engine, and then they let the engine open. So that was my chance to study the engine. And then while I was studying it, they searched in the back of the car.
Okay, Ziggy, Officer Street and Officer Narrow had also found mobile phones. What happened after that? Were you able to see?
Oh, so I think that was after I was studying the engine. You know, when I was observing it, I heard some conversation, and I was looking up and I saw that Officer Trace land Eltra Parker, who was wearing a PDP uniform, mobile phone, and then he said something to Eltra Parker. Eltra Parker received it and they typing something and then lend him back.
So you're stating that Eltra Parker put in the passcode herself?
Yes, they put in the password.
You saw this yourself?
Yes.
So could you please describe how the defendant's behavior was towards the officers?
I noticed that was before I observed the engine. It was like when the officer doing and Officer Narrow doing the pack down the fridge search. So I noticed that Eltra was being really nervous. I don't know why. She was agitated and unable to stand still, and she was like leaning to the car.
Okay, Ziggy, could you also describe how Officer Street and Officer Narrow's behavior was towards the defendant, Eltra Parker?
Oh, yeah, the police, they act the same. Every police act the same. They will just say that you have this right to remain silent, you have this right to blah, 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 blah. I don't see any difference.
So at the end, Officer Street did remind Eltra Parker of her rights. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Like if they don't remind the Eltra Parker of their rights, like they can be police. Like every police has to do that. Don't you think so?
Vicky, from your statement, we understand that you were listening to everything very closely, and what you heard was your own first-hand experience. Why were you listening to everything so closely?
Oh, like I said before, you can't study the engine if you stand too far. And when I stand closely to study it, I listen to the conversation. Like I don't really want to listen to it, but yeah, I have to. I can stop that.
Thank you for your time, Ziggy. No further questions, Your Honor.
Chief Judge, are you going to ask if there's cross-examination?
With examination?
We do, Your Honor. So, Mr. Ziggy
You can
Bagman.
proceed.
So, Mr. Ziggy Bagman, you were on the site of Pacific Avenue on 1st of March 2023.
Yes, I was on the side road of Pacific Avenue.
Okay. When you were there, you didn't see any relevant signage being placed at the checkpoint, right?
Actually, I didn't recall any signs. Like, I was eating my breakfast and observing the view. So yeah,
Okay.
I didn't recall.
You didn't recall. Okay. Mr. Ziggy Bagman, then you saw Senior Officer Street approached a black BMW car, right?
Yes, I saw it.
You saw two persons, Eltra Parker and Danny carried in the car.
Yes.
Now, what you saw was senior officer street conducted a frisk search, right?
Yes.
Did senior officer street ask for the consent?
I don't think that they need a consent when they do a research. Like, if the police have some like reasonable suspicion, they can do it, right?
Ziggy Bagman, senior officer street didn't ask for the consent, is what you meant to say.
I did not recall it.
Okay. After the frisk search, did you see any position of weapon or dangerous thing found within them?
No. I don't see any weapon.
Okay. So after frisk search resulted of nothing interest and no dangerous weapons, the two officers still went for the car search, right?
I think that they did not find any weapon. It was out my side. It was the back. It was the back of the car.
Okay, so they went for the car search, right?
Yeah.
Did you see them having any search warrant?
Objection, Your Honor.
Could you please explain what is this?
Calls for speculation. Calls for speculation because the witness is a bystander and would not have any knowledge of.
Let me just jump in for a
Could you
second.
elaborate it? How?
Wait, Judge, let me just jump in and let's just make this clear. Did this prosecutor do the chief examination of this witness?
No, sir.
Then this prosecutor is not allowed to object.
All right. Okay.
The lawyer or the prosecutor to object must be the lawyer or the prosecutor to the chief or the chief or the cross. I just wanted to make that clear because that may not be clear.
Noted, sir. Thank you so much.
Objection.
Defense, you can proceed with.
Objection, Your Honor.
Okay, prosecutor, what is this objection about?
Your Honor, the defense lawyer is making speculations.
Could you explain how?
The defense lawyer is asking the witness to give statements and give statements on something that the witness does not have knowledge about.
Did do thing?
May I rephrase it, Your Honor? May I rephrase it, Your Honor?
You may rephrase. Sorry to jump in,
what
but
I'm
you don't have
asking.
to.
Thank you, Your
I mean,
Honor.
we can
What I'm asking.
argue about it. It's up to you.
Thank you, Your Honor. What I'm asking here is that if what the Ziggy Bagman has observed in the site. So I simply asked, did you see any search warrant in the site, or I just asked her, did she see any search warrant with her or not? That's all. I just asked her what she saw.
Objection, Your Honor. Our witness is not a member of the police force, so she would not know that a warrant must be obtained. The defense lawyer cannot ask this question to our witness.
I would like judges to give your opinion. So your mic is on, off.
Well, shouldn't we hear from the other side first? On the objection.
Recording in progress.
I think we might have lost our chief judge. I'll step in. We've
Okay,
heard the objection. Oh, sorry, Keanu's back.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We
Could you
lost
please
him for a
explain
moment.
about the objection?
Well, we heard the objection from the prosecutor. Perhaps we should hear a response from the defense advocate. Yes?
Your Honor, shall I proceed?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So now after the, so Ziggy Bagman, now after the car search, you saw Officer Street approaching Eltra Parker with a mobile phone, right?
Yes.
So did Eltra Parker consent to unlock the phone voluntarily?
I saw that Officer Shred lent her a phone, and then she received it and typed something and lent him back.
So was there a free consent? Was there any denial?
I didn't see any denial. I was seeing their behavior.
Yeah. So what you meant is
Eltra
that
was standing with her back toward me, so I didn't saw like what she said. I don't know what she said or what her behavior was like. I was just see her action.
okay, so no further question, Your Honor.
All right. So what's next?
Have we lost our chief judge?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, can I suggest that the clerk have people take about maybe 5 minutes to stretch their legs, maybe take a bathroom break, and then we start with the defense?
So should we suspend the court session?
I think you can do that for maybe a 5 or 10 minute break so people can use the restroom and then come back.
Okay, so
Great.
member of the court, the hearing will now be suspended for 5 minutes.
Fair trial.
Exclusionary hearing.
Constitution,
The roadside stop.
police power,
The electronic scale.
the law, examination in chief,
The system.
drug trade,
Witnesses. The fact.
Risk search.
case theory, the search of the car,
cross-examination to examine its witness,
legality in the collection of the evidence,
Closing argument.
balance of probabilities,
defendant.
Pre-trial hearing.
The case theory.
Court documents. Having the truth.
The opening statement.
The chief examination.
What is your role at the Zata news station?
Cross-examination.
Is it true that Eltra Parker denied every single question?
Witnesses.
Pre-examination. Okay, you help to heal them.
Your Honor.
The closing argument.
Police powers relating to roadside checkpoint.
Unlawful frisk search.
Your Honor, may it please the court. Today, as a prosecutor empowered by the state of Zatanu, I respectfully will proceed with 4 standpoints to protect evidence in order to bring them to the bench trial.
Your Honor, may it please the court. Today, as an advocate of my client, Ms. Eltra Parker, I, along with my co-counsel, Shruti Sharma, stand here to defend the rights and legitimate interests for my client, who was seriously violated by the police officers according to the law of Sultani.
What was happened at 11 a.m. at the checkpoint?
I directed a black BMW into the checkpoint and asked for the driver's name and identification, like I do for every other car at the checkpoint, as a standard protocol we follow.
Did you continue to conduct the frisk search after finding the stress ball?
Yes.
Okay. At the end, did you find any weapons?
Not particularly.
Your Honor, the prosecution will provide the burden of proof with the probability of evidence, and we also prove that all of the obtained evidence are legal and very important. Your Honor, in this regard, we will go over the 4 issues, establish the burden of proof, and we will prove why the prosecution has fulfilled all of these burdens.
Your Honor, may it please the court. This case deals with the motion to exclude the evidence obtained unlawfully on the ground thereof. Your Honor, if a police officer does not respect the due process or procedure of law, how could other citizens believe in the law? This raises the question among general people that can government officials just do what they deem fit? In this case, Officer Strait and Officer Momo had broken the law and policy repeatedly by misusing their power.
Hello, good morning, everyone. The court is now in session. And it is, I would like to remind the judges that it is the time, there was still time for the re-examination for the Ziggy Bagman by the prosecution. Prosecutor, would you like to re-examine the witness?
Yes, the prosecution would like to re-examine Ziggy Bagman.
You can proceed.
Ziggy, so it had come up in the cross-examination about if you knew what a warrant is. Do you know what a search warrant is?
I think that the search warrant is permission to search something. Is that it?
Okay, so you're
I only saw that on the movie. I haven't saw that in real life.
So you have no legal knowledge and don't know what a search warrant is, right?
Yes, you can say so.
Ziggy, I would just like to ask you if what had you seen actually? Did you did you see everything yourself? Was it your first-hand experience? Were you there? Were you present at that time?
It was kind of like a first-hand experience. I have saw some like checkpoint like that before, but only far away from that, about a couple feet. So yeah, I don't know. So this was the first time I saw something that's so too close like this.
Okay, and you saw the defendant's behavior towards the officers and the officers' behavior towards the defendant as well, right?
Yeah, I just saw that. I saw a little, like, yeah, maybe a little bit. Like, you know that when you open the engine, the top will like somehow prevent your view. But I can saw that from like my standing spot. I can like observe some of their conversation.
So since you were standing very closely trying to look at the engine, you saw everything. You saw how the officers' behaviors were toward the defendant and how the defendant's behaviors were toward the officer. Can you please remind the court what the defendant's behavior was towards the officer?
I saw the I can recall that at the first search, the defendant, Eltra Parker, was being nervous. Her leg was wobbling and she couldn't stand still. And during the phone exchange, I think so, they just exchange it just like that. If you give the phone, you receive the phone.
So you clearly saw that the defendant was nervous.
Yeah, I saw that. When she was leaning to the car, I think that she was a little bit nervous, or maybe too much. Maybe that's too much when you was meet a police.
Thank you, Ziggy. No further questions, Your Honor.
Have any other witness? Learned prosecutor, do you have any other witness?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, defense, learned defense. Does the defense have any witness to call for to testify?
Yes, Your Honor, we do. We have 3 witnesses. We were called to testify.
You can proceed.
Okay, defense would like to call its first witness, Eltra Parker. Good morning, Eltra Parker.
Clerk, could you administer oath? Clerk, could you administer oath to the witness?
Mr. Parker, please come into the court.
Yes, Your Honor, I promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Prosecutor, you can proceed. The defense, you can proceed with your examination.
Eltra Parker, could you please tell us about yourself?
Yes, Your Honor, my name is Eltra Parker. I am 28 years old and I live in Zaotanu since birth. And currently I am a student a university student and I study chemical engineering. So apart from studying, I also do a part-time job for a living.
Okay. On March 1st, 2023, what were you doing?
So on that day, it was just our normal delivery. So as I recall, the first thing I do in the morning is I met my boss in PDP's office. So my boss handed me the list of locations for the deliveries. Then I came back to my car with Dane waiting for me in the car. Then both of us go to pass the deliveries. We finished the first two deliveries already. And while we were heading to the third delivery, we were just suddenly stopped by a police officer.
Were you aware why you were stopped by the police officer?
We were just really shocked at that time. And I was really confused because I was just driving very normal as usual. And he just suddenly came and stopped us.
And what happened once you were stopped at the checkpoint?
Yeah, as far as I can remember, he came closer to us and he asked where we were heading to that day. And I just say, I'm on my delivery run, sir. And but I don't know why the police officer kept looking back and forth and throughout my car. And he keeps staring at me and the car for a very long time. And it makes me feel like both confused and nervous at the same time. So as a habit, I reach out for my stress ball in my pocket to release and calm me down a bit.
What happened after you were reaching in your pocket for the stress ball?
I was just, as I told you, it's a habit. I don't know why the officer kept looking like that. So I was nervous. I don't want to get into a fight, an argument with the officer. So I just try to calm myself down and talk normal with the officer.
And how did Officer Strait responded to that?
Yeah, the Officer Strait, he, as I remember, after I said that, we were just on a normal delivery, the officer was like, suddenly become so serious. He talked in a very serious tone and he commanded us to step out of the car. And I will feel very uncomfortable. And he just keep demanding like that. So Dane and I had no choice but to go out of the car as he asked.
So what happens once you both got out of the car?
So when both of us go out of the car, the officer said, so anyone bring any weapon here? And we were like, what? We don't bring anything like that. And I just respond that we don't have the right to do this. And so Officer Strait was looking at us with a very suspicious look. And he replied in a very aggressive attitude, which, the atmosphere at that time was very intense. And I'm not really good at handling my emotions. So once again, I reached out for my stress ball to, feel less nervous. And in response to that, Officer Strait immediately grabbed me and violently pushed me against the car and checked me out.
So what happened when Officer Strait conducted the frisk search on you?
Yeah, when he pat down, we already know that I was just holding a stress ball and nothing but a stress ball in my pocket. He saw it, but I don't know why he just keep continuing trying to find something to prove that I do something illegal. And then he continued the search and he touched my pocket and he found an electronic scale. So about the electronic scale, I bring it because it is something I use for my degree. As I told you, I am a chemical engineering student. I need it to calculate chemicals and things.
So after Officer Strait conducted the frisk search, what happened exactly after that?
After he checked my body, he immediately goes straight to the car to see what's in the car. And I just say that this all goes wrong because he shouldn't have the right to do that. And Dane and I was waiting at that place, and the police officer just go to the car, and when they came back, they just take something out of my car without my consent and take that thing to their police car. So they didn't stop at that point. They continued to look at the glove compartment in my car. They take out 2 of my phones, and one phone was mine and the other was from my company PDP, and they take all of that out.
So you said one phone was yours and next was PDP, right? So what did the senior officer state to the PDP's phone?
Yeah, about the PDP's phone, because the phone belongs to my company. It has a password to it. The police officer seems like he wanted to open it, so he approached me and he asked, "Give me the PIN." And I was like, I am the employee of the company. I don't have the permission to give anyone outside the company the password. So I refused, and I didn't want to give him. But he continued to insist me and force me and demand me to. So I have no other choice but to follow his command. So I gave him the PIN and he opened it. And we opened it.
Okay, that's it, Your Honor. No further questions.
Okay. Does the prosecutor have any cross-examination to the witness? Learned prosecutor, do you have any cross-examination to the witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
Please proceed with the cross-examination.
All right. Miss Eltra Parker, what year are you in your program? Chemical engineering. Miss Parker, you are on mute.
Sorry, I am in my 3rd year of chemical engineering.
All right. Safe to say you have done a number of experiments on chemical substances, right?
Chemical substances, some but not all.
Right, but you have done a number of experiments on these substances, correct?
These substances, what are you trying to refer to?
On chemical substances, you have done experiments on it, right?
Yeah, my major is to produce medicine.
All right.
So
are you familiar? Okay, thank you so much. Are you familiar with the chemical composition of drugs?
I'm afraid I'm not, because
methamphetamine. You have not encountered this in your classes?
I'm afraid that is an optional module, and I didn't register for that class.
So you don't know the basic composition of these drugs?
I'm afraid, sir. Maybe some 4th-year student may know.
Moving on to the next question. Have you seen drugs before?
I'm afraid I did it.
So as a chemical engineering student, you're saying that you are not familiar with drugs?
Sir, I have just said to you that my major is about producing medicine, like paracetamol, like medicine to help people to cure diseases. I'm not majoring in.
All right, thank you so much, Ms. Parker. Drugs. Moving on to my next question. What time did you start delivering your packages?
I did it 1 year ago.
No, at the time, March 1st, 2023, what time did you start delivering your packages?
I guess around 8. No, I mean 8 is the time when I go to the PDP's office. But then we meet the boss for maybe 1 hour. Then maybe from 9, I started to go.
So Ms. Parker, again, let me ask the question. What time did you start delivering your first package?
First package, I guess probably 9.
And what did you do prior to 9 a.m.?
Prior to 9 a.m., as I told you, I talked with my boss in PDP's office.
All right. So what time did you pick up Dane Carrier then?
Dane Carrier lived with me. So we go together from the morning from our house to the office.
So you brought your partner to work? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes. And I already asked for my boss permission before.
All right. Thank you so much. Now, question. Did you do drugs with Dane before your delivery of packages?
I'm sorry. Is it appropriate to ask this? Because I don't think so.
It is my question, so please answer, Miss Witness.
Please pardon the question. Please, could you say your questions again?
Did you do drugs with Dane before you delivered the packages?
No, I
Objection,
didn't.
Your Honor.
Yeah.
Okay, what is this objection about? Could you explain?
Prosecutor is accusing my witness of doing drugs.
No, Your Honor. I'm simply asking whether the witness did drugs prior to the delivery of packages.
Okay, anything to explain, defense?
No, Your Honor. I think it is accusation.
Do you want to stick with the objection?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Your Honor, I would like to withdraw my question so that we can move on. May I continue with the questioning?
I think that was an appropriate withdrawal. There's, from the prosecutor's perspective, there's no evidentiary foundation for that accusation. So it's an improper thing to do, and it's just irrelevant anyway, probably. But please move on.
All right, thank you so much. Miss Parker?
Judge Joe, you're on mute. Judge Joe, you're still on mute. Still on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Can.
Yeah, the lawyer is also getting very close to badgering the witness. He needs to calm down a bit. That's not appropriate.
Okay. So you skip this question and move ahead.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Miss Witness, are you taking any prescription drugs?
Prescription of drugs?
Are you taking any medications?
Medication? Not really. No, I don't think at that time, I don't think I take any drug. Sorry, any medicine.
Okay. How many packages were you delivering that day?
It's hard to remember the exact number, but often we deliver about like 15 packages, 15. Approximately.
Okay,
yeah.
And how much were you expecting to receive from these deliveries?
How much, you mean the salary?
Nope. When you deliver something, do they give you their payments for the delivery?
Yes, it is my duty
How much were you expecting for that day?
On that day, we didn't finish the whole thing, but I'm not quite sure. I remember.
How much were you expecting? Because you're supposed to have a list already of the delivery.
Yes, yes. I didn't. Let me just take a minute. I just really can't remember the exact number.
Yes, right. And you're supposed to know the amount.
Yes, I am supposed to,
okay.
but at this time I don't remember clearly.
All right, thank you so much. Moving on. What time were you stopped at the checkpoint?
I was stopped at the checkpoint at 11 a.m. if I remember clearly.
All right. So is it your testimony today that you did not see the sign put up by SOS?
I didn't see it.
So, but senior officer straight placed a sign for the checkpoint. So are you saying that you saw none of these?
As I told you, let me explain. On that day, Dane and I was on the car. We was driving. Dane always remind me that, no, Eltra, you are not looking anywhere. Focus on the driving. No chit-chatting on car. So we always focus on the road. We look straight ahead, and there was no signage at all.
Right, but isn't it your responsibility as a driver to be aware of any signs that are going on that are put up on the road?
Yeah, that's what makes me surprised and shocked at that day, because I am a driver for 1 year. I know what a signage looked like. So I was very shocked. I didn't see anything, but I was stopped suddenly by the police.
You were asked where you were heading that day, correct?
Yes. When he stopped us, he asked where we were heading.
And you were told that it was a routine checkpoint, correct?
Yes, he did inform that.
So there shouldn't have been any cause for you to be anxious, correct?
You know, if you were there for a very long time by a police officer, and as a normal people.
But you were aggressive when you were asked about your identification, correct?
No, I didn't. He kept looking at the car. He wanted to keep us for so long. That's why it makes us so irritated, because I didn't do anything wrong.
So
I just
mean
want
to say that. So you mean to say that an officer cannot look into the insides of your car, even if the officer is just outside your car, looking at it in plain view? Is that what you're trying to say?
I didn't say he didn't have the right. He has the right, but he did it for so long. He gave us a very suspicious look and keep staring for a very long time.
All right. Were you aware that Dane Carrier had a prior conviction?
Prior conviction? Well, it is a story of long time ago.
But it is a fact, correct? It's not just a story. It is a fact, correct?
Excuse me, officer, please.
You've asked the witness a question. Let her answer the question.
Yes, please let me answer one by one. So about the story of Dane Carrier, it was long time ago. And at that time, the Zauta news was very crazy about drug trafficking, and the police keep looking for the suspected. And Dane Carrier was, go through wrongful conviction. So she was released.
That you are going outside the question that I asked you. Dane Carrier had a prior conviction for possession of drugs. Are you aware of this? Yes or no?
She's not guilty.
I'm not asking of whether she's guilty or not. I'm asking if you are aware that she had a prior conviction.
Yes, I know.
Were you aware that Senior Officer Shade was the one who apprehended Dane Carrier?
Yes.
Let me rephrase. Were you aware that there was already a relationship, a connection between Dane Carrier and Senior Officer Shade, correct?
I wouldn't say it's a relationship. I just say I know they did meet before, but there was nothing because she's not guilty.
That's not my move to strike, Your Honor. The last part of the answer was not part of the question. Moving on, you were asked to step out of your car, correct?
Yes.
You were reaching out for something even before Senior Officer Shade could conduct the search, correct?
Yes.
You did not warn Senior Officer Shade of this actuation, correct?
Could you say it again?
You did not inform Senior Officer Shade that you were attempting to reach something, correct?
Before
you
what
did
moment?
not warn Senior Officer Shade that you were trying to reach to your pocket to get a stress ball, correct?
But why do I have to inform him? I just do it. It's a habit.
You were already detained at the time, correct?
What? Can you say it again?
You were already detained at the time because you were already asked to step out of the vehicle, correct?
Yeah, he kept us stay there.
So therefore, if you did not warn Senior Officer Shade that you were trying to attempt to reach a stress ball, he could not have possibly known that you were reaching for it, correct? He could not have possibly known that you were reaching for a stress ball, correct?
Well, sorry, I don't care about that because as I told you, I'm not good with emotions. So I just reach out for my stress ball. I don't have the any right. I don't have the responsibility to inform anyone what I'm holding or what I'm reaching out for.
But you're aware that you were already stopped by a police person, correct?
Yeah, and I'm really
Did you possess any
cooperating.
weapon with you during that time?
Well, I think this question is supposed to be done by police officer, but I didn't bring any weapon.
You did not bring any weapon. So
yes.
Senior Officer Shade could not have known that you did not bring any weapon had he not completed the first search, correct?
Well, I just say I did.
Correct?
I don't think it's anything relevant to my part.
But he could not have known whether you were carrying a stress ball, a weapon, or of some sort, correct?
Well, I think it's about Officer Straight.
Informing him.
I think it is about Officer Straight, so you could ask him.
It's already time. Thank you so much, Miss Witness.
Okay.
Okay, does the defense have any re-examination?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, does the witness have any other witness to testify? Does the witness have any other witness to testify?
Are you calling another witness? Defense.
Yes, we do. We would like to call Dane Carrier.
Then Carrier, please come to the court.
Yes.
Then Carrier, please raise your right hand. Do you permit that the testimony shall be given in the case before this court? told me the truth, and nothing but the truth.
Dan, your mic is mute.
Yes. I will. Yes, I do. I will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Okay, defense, you can proceed with the examination.
Okay, Your Honor. Dane Carrier, could you please tell us about yourself?
Dane Carrier, please unmute yourself.
I'm sorry. Okay. Hi, my name is Dan Korea, and I am 23 years old. I live with my partner, Eltra Parker, who I have been in a relationship with for the past 4 years, and I am currently seeking for a job.
Okay, let me take you to March 1st, 2023. Who was with you that day?
On March 23, 2023, I was with Eltra, supporting her part-time job as a delivery driver. We were in a rush to finish the job and then going to a party afterward. So we were pretty focused on doing our delivery.
So what happened while you were delivering with Eltra?
Something happened during our third delivery at 11 a.m. We were stopped by a police officer who then I recognized to be Senior Officer Street due to a former occasion. He appeared to be somewhat, very discriminatory because of my relationship with another person of my same gender at that time. We were directed into a place seemed to be a traffic stop, but however, I did not recall I did not recall observing any proper signage. Thus, we were pretty surprised when being stopped, and as a result, feeling very nervous.
So what happened when Senior Officer Street approached the car?
Yes, after stopping us, Senior Officer Street approached the car, and then he introduced himself as Senior Officer Street, that like I said before. He continued by saying that that was a routine police checkpoint stop, and then he aggressively demanded both of us to step out of the car.
So when Senior Officer Street asked you to step out of the car, what happened next?
After that, he asked if we were carrying any weapon with a very, aggressive attitude, and then he insisted on doing a freak search on me and Eltra, and which made her very uncomfortable as I observed. And as a habit, she reached the strap bone in her pocket, which must be visible to the officers. I believe. And then Officer Street took that chance and violently pushed her back against our car. And Senior Officer Street then conducted the freak search without her consent. However, even after making sure it was only a strap bone, he kept searching Eltra's body without her consent.
So what was found upon the frisk search?
He found her electronic scale, which I assume to have no relevancy to any kind of dangerous activity, since it is very ordinary for Eltra to bring that, since she is a chemical engineering student, and bringing a electronic scale with her is very normal.
So what happened next once frisk search was conducted on Eltra Parker?
After the freak search, I recall Senior Officer Street and his partner, Officer Nero, beginning the search in the backseat of our car, then moving to the trunk of the car. I don't know the law, but both officers seem to spend quite a lot of time searching the trunk of Eltra's car. And from where Eltra and I were standing at that time, it was kind of difficult to, see exactly what the officers were doing. Senior Officer Street then proceeded to, search the front of the car, which includes the glove compartment.
So once the car search was conducted by Senior Officer Strait, do you recall the things that were found during the search?
I was pretty shocked. Officer Nero received a package from Officer Strait and then a black bag from Officer Strait. Then Senior Officer Strait also proceeded to search the front of the car, and he found 2 mobile phones at the glove compartment.
What happened after that?
Well, after that, after the car search, Senior Officer Strait advised Eltra that she was under arrest and proceeded to place handcuffs on her. I was very scared at that time, and he also escorted Eltra and me to his police car and gave us to the police station.
That's it, Your Honor. No further questions.
Prosecutor, would you like to go for cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor.
You can proceed.
Hello, Dane. I would like you to answer my questions as honestly as possible and as briefly as possible. Is that okay with you?
Yes.
So let's start with, what is your relationship with the defendant, Eltra Parker?
You're asking my relationship with my partner?
Yes.
I have been in a romantic relationship with Eltra Parker for 4 years.
So you would say that you and the defendant are pretty close, right?
Yes, I would say so.
So Senior Officer Strait and Officer Narrow found white powder that later proved to be pure cocaine, weighing 1 kg from the defendant's vehicle. Were you aware that the defendant had drugs in her possession?
Of course, I don't have any recognition of that or any awareness that it exists in our car. I don't even know about that. And I also, I also heard from Eltra that her mission is not to load the contents and to check the contents of the packages. So I don't think it had any stuff to do with us.
So you were not aware that there were drugs in the vehicle?
Yes.
You and the defendant have been in a relationship for 4 years, as you have stated. You were going to a party together after finishing up the deliveries, and you just stated that you were close. You and the defendant are close, but you were still unaware that the drugs were found in the car belonged to Eltra Parker.
Well, I don't understand your question. You say that the drug found in the car was.
My question is very simple. You were just unaware that there were drugs in the vehicle. Is that correct?
I didn't know that.
Okay. So when Senior Officer Strait approached the vehicle, did he introduce himself?
I did recall he introduced himself as Senior Officer Strait. Yes.
Did he tell you that it was a routine checkup?
Yes, he did.
Did Senior Officer?
I didn't see any proper signage.
Did Senior Officer let you know that if you had nothing to hide, you would be released immediately?
Yes, but he asked it with a very aggressive attitude. Look, it seemed to be like he's insisting.
Yes, but did Senior Officer Strait tell you that if you had nothing to hide, you would be released immediately?
Yes.
You just mentioned in your chief examination that you were going to a party afterwards, so you were focused in doing the deliveries. You could have missed the police checkpoint sign. Is that correct?
I don't think that we can miss the signage, very visible signage like that, because the fact that we are focusing on our duty to delivery to fasten the job seems to be that the fact that we would.
Goodness. So you were in a hurry, so you could have just missed the checkpoint sign. Are you contradicting your own opinion that you just said in the chief examination?
I didn't say that I was in a hurry. I said that we were pretty focused on doing our job to finish it quickly.
You were focused on doing the job and not on the road, or you could have just missed the sign.
our job is to delivery. So if we are focusing on the job, we must have focusing on the road as well.
Okay. So since Senior Officer Street introduced himself, so let me get this straight. Senior Officer introduced himself, made the both of you aware that it was a routine checkup and asked you to step out of the vehicle. How is any of this behavior of Senior Officer Street considered discriminatory? Are you just assuming based on the past events that has no relevance to today's case?
Well, I think it according to the papers, it doesn't have any false activities. But yeah, I think according to his aggressive attitude, I can say that he's pretty discrimination.
What do you consider to be an aggressive attitude? Since he introduced himself, he had already established reasonable suspicion before doing any kind of activity towards you. Or the
Well, that depends on my former occasions and as well as my current judgment at the time. So I don't think that I can explain that right now.
Okay. So did you recognize Senior Officer Street from prior conviction?
Yes, I mentioned that in my chief examination. Okay.
Senior Officer Street has also admitted that he recognized you from a previous arrest, but as far as I can tell, Senior Officer Street didn't mention anything about recognizing you from the previous arrest during the incident. Is that correct?
He didn't mention, but he looked me in the eyes, and it seems to me that he did recognize me.
So this is your assumption that Senior Officer Street was acting discriminatory towards you because of the prior conviction?
Yes, I believe.
Okay, thank you. Senior Officer Street conducted a frisk search, right? And Eltra Parker was reaching into her pockets for a search stress ball. So how do you know that? Eltra Parker was reaching into her pockets for a stress ball?
It is her habit when when she's afraid or being nervous. She reaches her pocket and there always seems to have a strap ball, and she touches that every time she's nervous.
So it's a habit, you see, but Senior Officer Street doesn't know Eltra Parker, so he wouldn't have any idea of knowing this habit of Eltra Parker, right?
I assume that Eltra Parker, my partner, is reaching the strap ball in her pocket not only by knowing her habit, but also seeing that. And I am sure that the Senior Officer Street can clearly see that.
But she was reaching into her pockets. Officer Street couldn't see it, which is why he conducted a frisk search. You are her partner, so you were aware about the frisk search, but Senior Officer Street was not able to be aware of this habit of Eltra Parker.
I told you before, I did not tell the fact according to my acknowledge of her habits. I tell that due to my observation that, and I believe that Senior Officer Street clearly saw that she's reaching her pocket and for her strap ball.
Witness, thank you. I just want you to establish that reaching into the witness, reaching for the stress ball was a habit of Eltra Parker that Senior Officer Street does not have an idea about.
Yes.
Okay. You and Eltra, you have mentioned in your statement, and I quote, Eltra Parker felt uncomfortable. I'm sorry, but I fail to see a reason why she would have felt uncomfortable. Any innocent person with nothing to hide would not have felt uncomfortable. Senior Officer Street was doing a routine checkup. He had informed you guys. So why do you think she felt uncomfortable? Did you feel uncomfortable?
I did feel uncomfortable, yes. And I mentioned before, because we were surprised when seeing when being stopped, because there were no legal signage that we observed. We observed no legal signage. So being stopped into a checkpoint that we are not even sure about its legality. How can we be certain? We must be nervous, right? It's obvious.
Okay, so even after Officer Street introduced himself, made everything clear, you guys were still nervous. were acting very anxious and fidgeting Eltra Parker, the defendant, which Officer Strait could have taken the other way.
We also act nervously because of, as I mentioned before, Officer Strait's attitude. He became very, very aggressive, as I remember.
Aggressive in what way? Could you clarify the aggressive behavior?
Well, I'm not sure, but but his eye contacts when he looked at me in the eye, as well as his
witness Officer Strait's behavior. You could perceive it as being aggressive, but Officer Strait was not being aggressive. It was you that was fearful and thought that he was being aggressive.
I don't think so.
Your assumption, you were assuming that he was you felt that he was being aggressive, but it is not a question. It is not a matter in question that if he was being aggressive or not.
Well, my assumption is that he's being aggressive, and it is also my assumption to make me feeling nervous, right? So it's logical that I feel nervous due to my assumption.
Thank you, witness. Thank you for your time.
Okay, does the defense have any re-examination? Does the defense like to do re-examination?
Yes, Your Honor.
You can proceed.
Okay, Dane Carrier, could you again please say what happened exactly once the car was stopped?
I believe I have told that pretty clearly, that once the car was stopped, we were asked to step out the car by Officer Strait. And then he asked if we were carrying any weapons, and he insisted on doing a free search on me and Eltra without I emphasize on without Eltra's consent. We didn't give him any consent, but even after Eltra reached her strapper, Officer Strait violently took that chance and grabbed Eltra's hand and pushed her into our car, and then began the free search. And after that, he found, as I mentioned, electronic scale, and then the search of the car and the whole other parts.
That's it, Your Honor. No further questions.
Okay, does the defense have any other witness to testify?
We do, Your Honor. The defense would like to call Panchakel for the chief examination.
Panchakel, please come to the court. Panchakel, please raise your right hand. Do you promise that the testimony shall be given in the case before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I'll tell the court the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Defense, you can proceed with the examination.
Okay, so could you please introduce yourself for the record?
My name is Panchakel. I am 42 years old. I work as a waitress.
Okay, so Panchakel, where were you on 1st March 2023?
I don't precisely recall the date and the time. However, I recall the incident.
Okay, so prima facie, what did you see that day?
So I was working in the restaurant. It was morning. It was around 11 a.m. I was doing my routine cleanup of the restaurant. So at 11 a.m., I saw that there was a checkpoint established opposite to the restaurant. So around 11 a.m., I saw that a black BMW was stopped by 2 police officers.
So what did you observe afterward?
I observed that when police officers, they stopped the black BMW, there were 2 passengers. There were 2 people in the car, one the driver, the other one was passenger. So the police officer, who I know now is the police officer Strait, he stopped the car and he started asking questions to the driver. So the driver was being asked question by the police officer, and I observed that this police officer, he was crouching in the car to get a peek of what was in the car.
So how many people did you see in the black BMW car?
There were 2 people.
Okay. What did Senior Officer Strait do after he approached the black BMW car?
He questioned the driver in the car, and he was crouching within the car to get a peek of what was in the car.
So after Eltra Parker and Danny Carrier got out of the car, what did Officer Strait do?
So he pointed them to walk on the, to proceed towards the sidewalk. And then he pointed another officer. And while he was coming, he began to conduct the frisk search on both the passenger and the driver.
Okay. Then what did you see they got out of the frisk search?
So after they they were done with the frisk search, they proceeded back towards the car and they began to search the car.
Okay, so Miss Panchakel, what happened after they conducted or got nothing out of frisk search? Did they get something out of the frisk search? Can you please explain it?
I couldn't. I was at a distance, so I couldn't see what they got from the frisk search. However, they I couldn't see any object in their hand. There was a tiny object which was being held by Officer Strait. Other than that, I couldn't see anything clearly.
Okay, so what did you see the Officer Strait did with the object? Did you see anything? What did he do after he gained that object, that is mobile phone?
So when he was searching the car, he retrieved 2 objects from the glove compartment. So those, I believe, were the cell phones. He took the cell phones and he went back to the driver, who now I know is Dane, who now I know is Eltra Parker. So he asked the driver to maybe unlock the phone, and I saw the driver receiving the object, receiving the cell phone, and then after a few minutes handing the cell phone back to the police officer.
Objection, Your Honor.
Okay, prosecutor, what is this objection about?
Contradictory opinions. Panchakel, the witness has stated that she didn't see the electronic search that she didn't know what it was. She couldn't see it. She was far away, but she says that she knows what was in the glove compartment. Those are contradictory opinions.
Can I rephrase it, Your Honor?
Okay, defense? Any more explanation on it?
Yes, Your Honor. Panchakel didn't know what the object was, but she has clearly mentioned that she believed it to be mobile phone, and she just mentioned what she saw. She saw that the object was handed over to Eltra Parker, and this is what she's trying to clarify in her testimony right now. That's all, Your Honor.
You can proceed with the examination. Prosecutor, you can cross-examine the witness when your turn comes, and you can testify whether this is contradictory or not.
Okay, Your Honor, shall I proceed?
Yeah, you can proceed.
Okay, Panchakel. So did you see anyone else at the site?
Yeah, I saw there was this man, Ziggy bag. He's a homeless person. I usually give him the leftovers, so I recognize Ziggy bag.
Okay, no further question. Thank you, Panchakel. No further question, Your Honor.
Okay, prosecutor, do you have any cross-examinations to the witness?
Yes, Your Honor. Witness, could you please do me the favor of telling this honorable court the exact date when the incident that you are giving your statement for happened?
I don't recall.
So you don't recall the date when this incident happened at all?
Yes.
You have stated that you had a direct view of the checkpoint, but the restaurant that you work for, Z Burgers, is located opposite from the checkpoint that was set up. Is that correct?
Yes.
There is a 2-lane road with 1 lane heading in each direction between this restaurant that you work for and the checkpoint. Is that correct?
Yes.
But you say that you had a direct view. How do you justify that?
So it's a 2-lane view. It's a 2 side lane. So the restaurant is on one and the checkpoint was on the other. It was morning hour. That was the only car. So that was the only car at that point which was stopped. So both the roads were clear, and I had a clear view of the car. So there were no other cars. There are 2.
Yes, yes.
So there are 2 lanes. On one end, there's a restaurant. On the other end, the checkpoint was established. So the car was stopped at that point. So the road on my side was clear. That's why I could clearly see the car being stopped on the other end.
But you have mentioned several times in your statement that you are not positive of what was happening. You are not positive what you saw. You believed what was happening, but you're not sure about it. Is that correct?
So I have reiterated my statement that I'm not positive about the date of occurrence. However, I clearly recall the incident.
So you want to still admit that you had a direct view?
Yes.
It was 11 in the morning and you say that it was a rush hour and there was a 2-lane between the checkpoint and the restaurant. There must have been tons of vehicles go at that time, and you want to say that there weren't any vehicles at that time?
On the contrary, it was morning time and it wasn't rush time. It was 11 a.m. So it was rather a morning hour. So the road wasn't busy at all.
So, okay, so let's just establish that you had a direct view, okay? But you have mentioned in your chief examination that you couldn't see what was happening exactly. You couldn't see all the details, right?
So in my statement, I've clearly stated that I couldn't see the objects, but I could clearly comprehend what was happening, and I could see the police officers searching the car. I wasn't completely positive about the objects that were being retrieved or the conversation that was happening. However, I could clearly see the police officers searching the car. I could clearly observe the demeanor of both the driver and the passenger and the police officer as well. That was clearly in my view.
Okay, so you were far, you only knew what was happening. You couldn't hear any conversation. You couldn't see any of the objects, and you just didn't have a clear view. You had a clear view, but you didn't know what the objects were. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So you have also mentioned at the end of your witness statement that you noticed Ziggy standing beside the checkpoint. Is that correct?
Yes.
So you clearly saw that Ziggy was near the place where the incident was happening. So do you agree that Ziggy had a better insight on the situation than you did?
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
Okay. Does the defense have any re-examination for the witness?
No further re-examination, Your Honor.
Okay. Does the defense have any other witness to testify?
No, Your Honor. That's all for the witness of defense side.
So now, is the prosecution ready to give its closing argument? Is the prosecution ready to give its closing argument?
Yes, Your Honor.
Please proceed.
Your Honor, I am representing the prosecution in this case, giving the closing argument. Thank you for your attention. The defendant didn't have to face the dilemma of coming face to face with a crime scene and having to choose between either waiting to follow the law and losing the evidence or taking the necessary legal actions right at that time. The judges present here today didn't have to face this dilemma, and neither did any one of us, except for the two people that did have to, Officer Strait and Officer Narrow. Senior Officer Strait has been a member of the Zaltano Police Force for the past 16 years, and it was Officer Narrow's third day on the job when they had to make this difficult decision. On the 1st of March 2023, Officer Strait and Officer Narrow did what they thought they had to, what they needed to do. None of us had to make this difficult decision that they had to, and yet today we are asked to second guess their actions. The police force of every country all around the world has the main duty of preventing and protecting the society, to which the Zaltano Police Force is no exception. However, there may arise certain situations in which the police authority should have or could have should have to make split-second decisions in exercising the law. Sometimes people in hindsight could have or should have handled the matter differently. But in today's court, hindsight isn't the measure we are using to judge Officer Strait and Officer Narrow's action. Rather, we analyze what happened from the perspective of how things looked at that time for Officer Strait and Officer Narrow and how important it was to collect the evidence in the way that they did. I would now like to address each ground for why the evidence collected by the Zaltano Police Force should be admissible. First, it is clear that Senior Officer Strait and Officer Narrow had reasonable grounds of suspicion to collect the search of defendant's vehicle, frisk search, and the search of the mobile phone in her possession without a search warrant or consent. On March 1st, 2023, a traffic checkpoint was set up on the corner of Pacific Avenue and Astor Road at 10 in the morning. The defendant was stopped at the checkpoint as only a part of a routine checkup. Officer Strait approached the car and immediately recognized the passenger as Diane Carrier from a previous arrest. Officer Strait noticed a pack of cigarettes on the dashboard, an open envelope containing cash on the center console, rolling papers, clip seal bags, and empty envelopes on the back seat. All of these materials are suspicious items in itself. Along with this, the defendant had seemed to appear anxious. She was constantly fidgeting, her eyes were bloodshot, and she avoided eye contact with Officer Strait. When Officer Strait started questioning the defendant about the contents of the packages, the defendant refused to disclose the nature of the packages and had started speaking aggressively. This had already made Senior Officer Strait suspicious. After this, the events that unfold chronologically made Officer Strait and Officer Narrow grow more and more suspicious. Along with this, the roadside checkpoint itself was set up because the Zaltano Police Force had received reports of drugs being moved along the Pacific Avenue. The PDP, the company that the defendant works for, was also under the police radar for potential links with drug trade. Hence, the ground for reasonable suspicion has been established. And according to Section 29 of the Zaltano Police Powers and Responsibilities Act, a police officer who reasonably suspects the commission of an offense may, without a warrant, stop and detain a suspected person, search the person and anything in the person's possession. Therefore, Senior Officer Strait and Officer Narrow reasonably suspected the commission of an offense, which is why they lawfully stopped, searched, and detained the defendants without a search warrant or consent. Second of all, in this case, the defense has argued that the police checkpoint was set up unlawfully. However, according to Section 56 of the Zaltano Police Powers and Responsibilities Act, a police officer may establish a roadside checkpoint if the police officer reasonably suspects a roadside checkpoint may be effective to locate persons committing an offense. And the Zaltano Police Force did have reports of drugs being moved along the Pacific Avenue where the checkpoint was set up. Similarly, Section 57 of the Zaltano Police Powers and Responsibilities Act states that the police officer present at the roadside checkpoint must ensure a record of the relevant details of the roadside checkpoint. For this, a business record of the roadside checkpoint has been submitted by Senior Officer Strait. So there arises no question that the roadside checkpoint had been established by following the legal requirements and procedures under the law of Zaltano. The main issue here is that drugs were found in the defendant's possession. The officers found a large bag containing white powder in the defendant's car. This white powder was later proved to be pure cocaine weighing 1 kg. The car has been proven to be the defendant's, Eltra Parker's. The defendant's possession of drugs is not a matter of question. Having reasonable suspicion, Senior Officer Street and Officer Narrow with good faith believed that they were acting according to legal authority. What can a police officer with a sense of duty do when they come across a situation like this? They couldn't just ignore their suspicions and look the other way. It was their responsibility to make sure that a crime wasn't being committed. This whole motion to exclude evidence hearing is based on the issue that the police didn't have a search warrant or consent. But I would like to remind everyone that this was a situation of emergency. This is evidence for a drug case, and obtaining admissible evidence in drug-related crimes is extremely difficult. The Zaltanu police force has been working diligently and constantly to end drug-related crimes. There were repeated information being received during January and February of 2023 from reliable confidential informants of excessive drug trafficking occurring along the Pacific Avenue. The Zaltanu police force were actively investigating PDP, setting up traffic checkpoints in hopes of finding a lead. When there finally is evidence, it must not go to waste. The search warrant would have been issued one way or the other. The search warrant was not an issue to be considered at that time. The issue was to prevent a crime from being committed. Officer Street and Officer Narrow found an electronic scale in the defendant's pocket, sealed baggie containing white powder, which later proved to be pure cocaine, large amounts of cash, and a mobile phone containing a list of names with corresponding amounts of money listed. All these are essential evidence that needs to be admitted in the trial for a fair hearing. There was no violation of the defendant's rights. The checkpoint was set up lawfully, and like any other car, the defendant's car was stopped as only a part of the routine checkpoint. But nothing is going to change the fact that the defendant had drugs in her possession. Nothing is going to change the fact that Senior Officer Street and Officer Narrow acted believing that they had the legal authority to do so. Drug-related cases are complicated cases with numerous legal loopholes to escape liability. But in this case, the evidence is before everyone, in plain sight for everyone to see. The defendant is only looking for a way to escape liability. For justice to be served, this motion to exclude evidence must be denied, and the evidence should be admissible. The prosecution in this case humbly requests and asks this court to not let the defendant escape responsibility. Thank you.
Is the defense ready to give its closing argument?
We are, Your Honor.
Please proceed.
Your Honor, here the case revolves around the motion to exclude evidence, which is unlawfully obtained. This motion is filed so as to ensure a fair trial. Your Honor, after hearing all those statements of witnesses, we can see how neglecting the procedure, the police officers of Traffic Control Unit arbitrarily conducted investigation. This eventually shows inadmissibility of the evidence obtained and shall not be allowed to use at the trial. Your Honor, the checkpoint at the Pacific Avenue on 1st March 2023 was established without adhering the procedure of Zaltanu law. As mentioned in Section 57 of Zaltanu Police Power and Responsibilities Act, the police officer must ensure relevant details of checkpoint, but no relevant signage to warn road users was set forth at the checkpoint, as we heard from my client and prosecutor's witness, Ziggy Bagman. Moreover, a frisk search was conducted without a reasonable ground for suspicion. And as heard today, from the defendant and witness Danny Carrier, officers state in spite of having knowledge that the defendant had nothing but stress ball in his or her possession, went on for a frisk search without consent of defendant. Your Honor, despite of finding no any possession of weapons, Officer Straight and Officer Narrow further violated Section 58, subsection 4 of Zaltanu Police Power and Responsibilities Act and conducted the search of vehicle without search warrant and consent of defendant, where consent was the most in case of absence of reasonable belief and search warrant. Likewise, the police officer failed to abide by the Section 29, subsection 6 of Jaltanu Police Powers and Responsibilities Act during an investigation of obtained mobile phone from car search. As we heard from my client that he or she was reluctantly complied to Officer State's demand to unlock the phone. Therefore, no voluntary consent or search warrant as mentioned in law was obtained or issued. Your Honor, as we heard from my client state that he or she was never informed that he or she had right to lawyers and have right to silence when he or she was handcuffed by the officers, which completely put on a question mark on officers' intention. Your Honor, all these chain of actions carried out by the police officer clearly shows the ignorance in regard to law, which means the investigation was unlawful since the very beginning. Therefore, Your Honor, as mentioned in Article IV and V of Jaltanu Constitution, all persons in Jaltanu have a right to be secure against unreasonable searches and seizures and has right against being forced to incriminate themselves. So do my client. And such evidence seized in violation of this rule shall be subject to suppression and exclusion. Thus, defense would like to claim that all the evidence obtained by the prosecution to be inadmissible evidence and would ask the Honorable Court to grant motion to exclude evidence so as to ensure fair trial and make a landmark decision that no authority can act arbitrarily, as due process need to be followed so as to avoid such arbitration by officers further in future. Thank you, Your Honor. That's all for the closing argument.
Okay, the hearing ends here now. So we will be moving, the judges will be moving in the breakout room for making the decision.
Fair trial.
Exclusionary hearing.
The roadside stop.
police power.
The electronic scale.
The law, examination in chief,
The system,
drug trade,
witnesses,
The fact,
risk search,
case theory,
the search of the car,
cross-examination,
to re-examine its witness,
legality in the collection of the evidence,
closing argument,
balance of probabilities,
defendant
Okay, welcome back, everyone. And if all the prosecutor team and the defense team and the clerks that presented can turn on cameras, fantastic. Great, everyone.
My audio just keeps going off automatically. I'm back on again.
Okay, well, yeah, okay, we're good. Just leave. All right, everyone, well done. I've written out a whole bunch of notes that I'm gonna send to you. So I just want to say, everybody, thumbs up, incredible job by both sides and the clerks, especially for the first one. Judges, over to you they're gonna give you feedback, and at the end, they're gonna give you the scores for this, but we're gonna start with feedback. And judges, we have about 20 minutes for feedback in total, okay? So let's just be mindful of that.
Okay, Simon, could you start with the feedback?
Sure. I'm happy to start. I thought it was really great how everyone engaged with the issues. It was really great to hear people making impassioned opening and closing addresses. Some of the openings were a little bit argumentative, but they were focused on the issues and focused on justice and the importance of policing and the importance of the rule of law. So that was really good to see. Some of the evidentiary things were obviously a little bit tricky. Certainly both defense advocates in the cross-examination, I mean, as we dealt with this in the running, but Judicial, I think you were putting to a witness, answer this question, yes or no. And I mean, you can ask a witness a question, you can't tell them what their evidence is going to be. Their answer needs to be their answer, not what you tell them it must be. But that was a style thing. Yeah, in the cross-examination of Ziggy Bagman, witnesses are allowed to be asked things if they don't know the answer. It's up to them to say that they don't know the answer, but there can't be an objection to a witness being asked something on the basis that the witness doesn't know that. I think that was one of the objections that came through. And one thing that I'm sure Rika would have learned from in cross-examining Ziggy Bagman, no, Panchakel, sorry, is that if you ask a witness to explain how it is they saw something, the witness will do that. And you asked, well, how could you possibly have seen across the road? And Aksa went ahead and told you. So that's why in cross-examination, you put what you want the witness to answer. You don't ask them to explain, because if you do that, that's what they'll do. So those are my general scan through my notes. Like Bruce, I've made fairly detailed notes, which I will send through to all of you later when I can. I hope that'll be tonight. Yeah, but really great job, really great performances. I really enjoyed, I think it's Tien who you performed as Ziggy Bagman. You did an excellent performance, and that was really enjoyable to see.
Perhaps if I could just say the openings and the closings were excellent. I thought the defence opening was particularly good, and the prosecution closing was particularly good. The prosecution opened a bit high, even suggesting that there would be evidence as to insanity of the defendant, when that was never suggested by anything in the evidence. So, you know, in opening, you need to be careful not to open too high. Put your submissions as to what evidence you're going to adduce well within what you can adduce. As I said, I think the defence was excellent. I think the prosecution closing was very, very well thought out and persuasive. In terms of evidentiary issues, there were lots and lots and lots of leading questions with only a few of them objected to. You need to be, I think that's a function of practice of law in Asia. I've almost never heard an objection against a leading question in Thailand, and therefore there's no, the objections aren't upheld because there's none made, they just let it go. But you need to be on the lookout for that. In dealing with cross-examination, as Simon said, you need to be very careful to appropriately design your questions and not just tell witnesses to answer yes or no. You need to frame the question so that there is only 4 possible answers. Yes, I don't know, I can't remember, I don't know. That's it. If you give them the opportunity to embellish on it, they'll do it every time. So you need to think up appropriate closed questions to which the answer will inevitably be yes or no, and you run for the answer you're hoping to get. And if they don't answer the question, then you ask them to answer the question or ask the judge to direct them to answer the question. If it's only a yes or no answer, there's really only one answer they can give. A good technique, if you've got a witness under cross-examination, is to get them, even if it's against their interest, to get them to say yes or no, as the case may be. But might I explain? And you'll find the cross-examiner will almost never ask them to explain because that gives them open go. But in re-examination, you can say, you're asked, can I explain? And my friend refused to allow you to explain. Can you give your explanation now? And the witness can then give the explanation in the safe grounds that he won't be cross-examined on because they've exhausted that chance. Yeah, but you know, generally a lot of the cross-examination was pretty good, but objections should be thought about and taken. I thought it was particularly with most of you having English as a second language, I thought you did really, really well, and I was very, very impressed. I have less detailed notes, but I'll prepare notes and send them over so you can think about what I might suggest. But think about objections, think about carefully framing questions. Otherwise, very, very good. Thank you.
I too second on the feedback that Simon and Joe has given to the team. The opening statement and the closing statements were really a brilliant one. It's so nice to see all the students, their preparation so well and so confident, precisely presented. It's a very visible that you all have done a great work, great efforts, and great level of understanding on the cases that is given to you. And the chief examinations, I mean, the questions that were logically framed, except in some occasions, the objections was made. Otherwise, they all were framed in a very logical way. And the closing arguments was well framed. It was well organized. And like the team preparations, the team efforts is very visually, very visible that you all have done great efforts. And on the part of the prosecutions, it's always difficult for the prosecutions, for the defense to stand against the prosecutions, and it's challenging. And when there is challenging, then much efforts, much work is done, and it seems that those who defending, they are. Their teamwork is also well designed and well preparations, and you all guys have done a very good job presenting your arguments in a very precise, very in a confident and in a very professional manner. And you all were looking like a lawyer that is argumenting inside the courtroom, and we were sitting as a judge into this one. So, and on the defense part, your analysis on admissible and inadequate evidences were quite noteworthy. So well start and brilliant closing you both team did onto this one.
Okay.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, Judge Lenny, please.
Oh, okay. First of all, congratulations for both teams for the first round, and you did your homework well, and I'm very so proud of you. And then I hear no hearsay, so no irrelevant, and everything on point. And you take it very seriously, and but don't forget to relax a bit. I so proud as a teacher. I feel optimistic that the future lawyers will be like this, and will be so professionals and respect each other. And but first thing, the first thing is that in order to get information from your witness, you cannot torturing them. I mean, like you have to let your witness explain and finish their sentences so that you can get the meaning of your witness statement. So otherwise, you will focusing on what next question that you will be asked. I think it's really important to have the listening skill. I mean, there is no doubt you have this ability to speak. The communication skill, your communication skills is awesome, but you also have to have the listening skill. I think it's really important in every trial, because who knows that once you are too concentrating on your point, you lose another point. I think that will be all for me. And once again, good job. Thank you.
Okay, Judge Strongly.
Thank you. First of all, congratulations on everyone. You did an excellent job. No doubt on that. You guys all well understand the role to play, in the evidence exclusionary hearing, and that is a really excellent one. For the opening statement, I'm really impressed. You put out very clear outline for what is the key issues you need to address in the ground. And for the closing statement, that is really good as well. I see, like the closing statement from the side of the prosecution. You really emphasize on like the reasonable grounds for suspicion, to try to further address on that point and really put the emphasis on that. I think that is a really good point to do. And for the cross-examination route, I just have several kind of particular comments on the performance of the prosecutor and the defense lawyer in the case. For the first prosecutor, I found that maybe it's inappropriate to point out like too many leading questions in the chief and in the re-examination. So you have to really give up the space to the witness to address the statements in the ground, and you better just like I think calm yourself a bit and let the witness have space to answer the question in the cross-examination round, and don't try to interrupt the witness by the way that you try to put a little bit pressure on them and ask like really kind of say something like, okay, I gotta move to the next question, while the witness still have something to say. They hasn't not yet like ended it up with that statement. So that is a very important thing. You better just show a little bit respect to the witness in the cross-examination. And just try to remember, don't repeat the question while you already asked the witness. Otherwise, they feel really, like under pressure, just to have to confirm, what they stated before. So that is a very important thing. For the second prosecutor, I think that you really has the right attitude to go. But for a certain kind of questions that you don't in the cross-examination, you didn't like point out the leading question. You ask the question to clarify. I remember the officer straight attitude. By that way, you kind of intentionally give more space for the witness to support that thing. in the cross-examination. So just remember to focus on the leading questions and to direct the witness in the way you want to go. And for the defense team, for the defense lawyer, the first defense lawyer, I thought that you didn't really use up the time, you know, for your cross-examination. So you better just like take up the space and you know, try to do your justice, you know, because that is very important, because it's gonna help your client in that case by putting out, you know, kind of questions in the round. And for the second defense lawyer, it was appear that you didn't like re-exam the witness, Eltra Parker, right? However, Eltra Parker is a very important witness. You know, that it's your defense and your client, so you better just like, you know, take the time to re-exam and to direct your client after the cross-examination by the prosecutor. So that is very important. Just don't, you know, miss any kind of opportunity and do that. In sum up, I think that you guys did an excellent job. I just have several kind of comments, and hopefully that is going to be helpful for you, you know, to prepare the next final round. So thank you.
Okay, dear all participants. So I was very much delighted to hear such an amazing performance from all of you. It was really amazing. Like you did as if you were a professional lawyer pleading in front of the court, and you had all those skills, all those necessary knowledges, and the art to pursue it. To go with some of the feedbacks in regard to your performances, like the opening statement, in the opening statement part, we were expecting as a judge, like you will be preparing premises and you will be igniting you will be sensitizing the issues or sensitizing the case. That was very much done by both the party, both from the prosecution side and from the defense side also. However, when we came to this witness testimony part, what we were supposed to hear was like, we were supposed to see the building supports and the assistance with relevant evidences and building facts. But some of the participants were imposing questions to the witness as if that question does not have any value. Or we were expecting that each question need to have certain value, certain weight, and each question need to draw some or build some support of evidence to your case. So whether the question that you were posing are relevant question or not, so you need to think in that manner and pose the question. And whenever the participants were posing question, they were even not taking the note down to make that supportive or building evidences in the closing argument. Like they were just going and telling the question and just fulfilling their formality part. It was just seen as if done in that manner. So I would like to suggest that the most important part is the second part that we were doing, the witness testimony part. And this witness testimony part would give the ground, give the support of evidences and the fact to make the whole case. And in the closing argument part, like both the prosecution and the defense side presented very well. Some supports were from the witness also, like they were also preparing their arguments in this closing argument through from this witness testimony. However, we were expecting that much of the argument would come from the witness testimony, and much of the counter argument to the opposite party would come from the witness testimony. But I could not hear like the counter argument given through the witness in the closing argument drawn from the witness testimony. So if you could work on that part, then it would be much better. Another part, what I would like to state is like, we were expecting you to have mastered on fact and mastered on the law part. So some of the part was still missing, like you have gone through the case packet, you have learned, and some of the participants were still reading, like when the witness was called and asked the question, and it seemed that he or she was reading something. So it is not that we were expecting, like you need to master the fact and you need to confidently present it before. And another very important part in this mock hearing is that role play. So everybody had the assigned role. Prosecutor had the assigned role, defense had the assigned role, witness had the assigned role, and the clerk also had the assigned role. And what we had expected is like you would be emotionally, with your attitude, with your conduct, and with all your performances, you will be deep within that role and you will play that role very successfully. But like it, to some of the participants, it just looked like they were not deep into the role that they were playing. Like whenever it comes to the role like officer state, then the role, the performer should be in a position that he or she is his attitude, and the answer should be in a manner like he or she is a police officer. So we were expecting the role in that manner too. So at last, what I would like to conclude by saying is, I would like to remember Aristotle, and Aristotle has stated that we need persuading skills, and for this persuading skills in any of the hearing or any of the trial, there needs three things. The first one is logos, ethos, and pathos. Logos means you need to be logical, you need to be argumentative, you need to have reasons, justified sort of things. Pathos means you also need to put your logic in an emotional way, in an appealing way, in such a way that will appeal the listener, or that will appeal the hearer. And ethos means that you must be credible enough, you must be in the code of conduct, you must be in professional manner, you must be in ethical manner and present it. So if we combine these three things and present it in any of the trial or any of the hearing, then we will be really having successful. Best wishes for both the team to reach final. Thank you. Bruce, do you have any comments?
Hi, everyone. So thanks. And again, Joe, I'm just waiting, looking for Joe. We're just waiting on Joe's final scores on the defense. Everyone, I dropped in my notes into the chat. I would suggest that you go through my notes. I think my notes got probably better as we went along. I think you all did great. I think it's all been covered. If you read through my notes, I try to give some examples throughout, and overall, really, really well done. I don't see Joe's notes having come through. I think, though, I understand what his final score is for the defense on the defense witnesses. Give me a second. Okay, yeah. Okay, so Dio, are we ready to put up the scores?
Yes, scores.
Okay, everybody. So remember, again, the scores are what the scores are for now. You're all going to improve, but we're going to put this up. And is everybody ready? We'll get a drum roll. Okay, good. Dio, can we post this? Okay, so what we see is that again, you'll get the score sheets. We can get them to you, but generally, more judges, 4 out of the 5 judges thought that the defense team overall was stronger. Chung had a slightly different view. His was very, very close. And again, I would say if I wasn't scoring you out, but if I was scoring it, I would say that the defense in this round was stronger. Both the witnesses and the defense lawyers. With it said, I thought the prosecution did an incredible job here. And I'm really looking forward to the round this afternoon, taking into account the evaluation feedback. And like I said, maybe really look at my notes, because I identified especially the leading questions that were done. One thing, again, everyone, re-examination, the rules do not change. You cannot lead in re-examination. And I think that was really something both, I mean, as Simon was saying, it often happens in real life, but it does not throw out the rules. You can say, did you hear, what the question that was asked to you in cross? Okay, would you like to make it more clear? But you can't just, and I heard a lot of on chief examination and re-examination, asking your own witness, isn't that correct? Isn't that, and that is the perfect leading question and the perfect improper question for chief and re-examination. You should not be asking your witness, isn't that correct? If you're asking that, it's wrong, okay? But overall, really great job, well done. We're going to be, I don't know if people have some questions of the judges. I know that you have to prepare for this afternoon, which is going to start. We're going to start it at. I'm going to start it at 1:30 instead of 1, which is in about 50 minutes. It gives people. But if you have some questions for the judges and you want to stay on and the judges are able to, we will absolutely let you do that. Otherwise, we'll let you take a break and then we'll come back at 1:30 and start the second hearing for today. Is that okay with everyone? Good. All right. And clerks, you did great. Well done. Well done with the clerks. And again, even the clerks, there were some things you saw in my chats, and even the judges, you strengthened yourselves as we went along. Okay. Fantastic, everybody. Well done. Let's eat some food and we'll be back in about 50 minutes. Okay, everyone?